Welcome back guys, hope you're all doing great, and today in this course we're going to build a hybrid mobile app which successfully ran both in iOS and the Android. So we're going to build a travel advisor which going to use the real-time dataset, and we are going to have the Google Places API where the user can search for different locations. Okay, so the screen, these are the three different screens we're going to build by using the React Native Expo. Actually, you can create an application by using React Native CLI and Expo CLI. We're going to use the Expo, which is really user friendly for the beginners to understand the React Native much better. So I'm going to show you completely from the ground how to build all these three different screens and how to use the Google Places API and how to use the Rapid API to fetch all these data and to display it in dynamically. Okay, so let me show you the real application, how exactly our app is going to look like. So this is the home screen. Once the user loaded the app, this is how it looks like, and you can see it's animated perfectly, and all these UI designs are nicely done by using Tailwind CSS. I'm going to show you how to use the Tailwind CSS. Even if you haven't used the Tailwind CSS, no worries, I'm going to help you completely understand it and how to use it. And once the user click this go option, if you click this, that will help the user to navigate it, and we have this nice animated options to show that the data is being loaded. And you can see that we have the real-time dataset which is coming from the Rapid API. Okay, then so once the user clicks over here, that will take the user to the next page. You can see that will take the user to the next page where the user can see the complete information about that particular restaurant, what is the ratings and the contact informations. All these informations are being loaded directly from the Rapid API. And if you want to change the location, you want to look for a different location, so if I click the search option over here, then I can type that place, any place you want. Let's say Toronto. Oops. All right, so Toronto, if I click that, so that will take some slight timing because it's coming from it's not a premium, we are using the free version, so it's taking some time to load all these data and everything. And once it's successfully loaded, you can see it's loaded all those places over here. So if I click that, I can see the information about that. So like that, you can change the live informations. You can see the hotels, attractions. If I click the attractions, so it's taking few delay, but it will load that information. You can see there is a slight delay because of that, the version like free, because we are using the API free version. If you're using the premium one, it will be much faster. All right, so here we have the attraction, so the user can tap it and they can see all the information about that location, and you can see the that a particular attraction information. So just like the same way, they can search for any different kind of places, any places all around the world, because we are using the Google Places API that helps you to search the places. Once the user tap that option, it will gives you the latitude and longitude location. Using that latitude and longitude location, we are pulling this data from the Rapid API. All right, I hope you guys are so excited regarding this build, because without wasting your time, so now let's get started. Alright then, so let's create a new project folder in our desktop, or you can choose your preferable location. In this case, I'm going to create a new folder in my desktop and I'm going to name it as Travel Advisor YouTube. Good. So let me open up this folder in my terminal. Here we go, and let me make it a little bit bigger. So before getting started, so open your browser and let's have a look at the React Native. So I already opened the React Native official website, or you can create a new tab and search for React Native and click this first link. That's their official documentation. So if you are learning any new technology, so please go through the official documentation section by section to understand it much better. I would strongly recommend to go through the documentation section by section. Okay, so click here, get started. And there are two different ways to create a React mobile app. So we do have Expo CLI and we have the React Native CLI. So the difference is, if you're a beginner, please use the Expo Go. If you already have some knowledge in mobile app development, use the React Native CLI. Okay, in this course, we're going to learn how to use the Expo, and we are going to build the Expo project. Okay, so if you want to learn more about the Expo, click a new tab and search for Expo CLI, or simply search for Expo. You can find their official documentation for Expo projects alone. So click here. So in this documentation, you can learn all the commands and the informations regarding the Expo projects briefly. So few packages are common for both Expo CLI and React Native CLI, but some of them are quite complicated. The way how it's getting configured and everything is completely different when compared to Expo and React Native. So please go through their different documentations whenever you're working with the Expo or React Native. So in this case, you can see there are certain commands which really helps you to create a project and to run and all those things. It's explained briefly how to start it, how to build it and run it and everything. So I don't want to use the npm or npx every single time whenever I need the Expo. I'm going to install the Expo CLI directly in my global so that I can access all the Expo commands directly by using the Expo keyword itself. So click this option, global Expo CLI, click it, and there you can find this command npm install -g global expo CLI. So just copy this command and paste it in your terminal. So let me open the terminal where it is. Here we go, and paste it here. So that will take a few minutes so to get install it done. In this case, I already installed my Expo CLI and I do already have the Expo CLI installed. So please wait until it's successfully done. Once it's successfully done, run the command expo -- version. So that will gives you the version number which is installed in your machine. All right, so let's clear it. And to create a project folder, to download all the necessary files for your Expo project, so run the command expo init, and here you need to give the project folder name, or if you're already inside the project folder just like me, press /. Okay, because we already created a folder. Inside this folder I need to bring all the Expo project files, so press enter. So this will take some time. Right, so okay, so once it's Expo init, it's triggered. It's showing three different options. You want to create it with the certain navigation tabs, which is with some predefined templates, or if you want to create it as a blank project. In this case, we are going to use the blank project. There are two different options. Either if you can create a project by using TypeScript, or you can use the project bar JavaScript. So choose the first option, because in this course we are going to use the JavaScript, not a TypeScript. So press enter. So this will take some time, so that will take few minutes to download all these projects. So please wait until it's successfully done. It's still loading. All right, then, so it's successfully downloaded, and so here we can find few commands and all those things which really helpful for our reference. So don't worry about it. So let's open this project in our Visual Studio Code. So run the command code space dot. There we go. So that will open our project in the Visual Studio Code. Let me make it bigger. And here you can see all the necessary configuration: package.json, Babel configurations, app.json, and app.js. Lots of things are here. This is the file which is currently being loaded. And here we can see view or text. Let me explain everything one by one, like when we are starting building the applications. So now all we have to do is how to run this project. So that's what we are going to do next. All right, then, so since we successfully opened the project in the Visual Studio Code, now what we need to do is we need to install the simulators to run these applications. So what we need to do is let's go to the browser, and if you're using a Windows operating system, you can use the Android Studio to check your app directly in the Android Studio. Or if you don't have that much configuration, so you don't need to worry about it, we can directly run these app in the browser itself. So let me show you. So open up your terminal, Control J or Command J, and run the command yarn start. And that will trigger the command expo start. So that will run, and here you can see the barcode right? So we have the lots of option. You can run it in the Android or iOS simulator, or you can directly run it in your browser itself. If you want to check it directly in your mobile phone itself, we can do it. Just install the app name called Expo Go. Just install this app from your Play Store or App Store, so that you can directly see the preview of your project in your mobile phone itself. So just open your camera and scan this thing, and it will open the Expo Go app. So you are lively connected with this project and your mobile app. So whatever the changes you are changing, it will directly reflected in your mobile app. Or if you want to run it in the web, so press W, so that you have to install this thing. Otherwise, sometimes it will directly opens your web browser itself. If it is showing anything else, just install the command what it's showing, then it will work fine. In this case, right now I'm not going to use the web. Anyways, let us copy this thing and let me create a new terminal. And here, let me paste this command. So that will install this in our folder. Cool. So let it be installing. And in this case, if you open your browser, if you want to download the Android Studio, please download the Android Studio. Then only you can use the Android simulator. Android emulator. Okay. So once you downloaded it, so you can open the Android SDK package manager, and you can trigger the Android emulator for which Android version you are going to create it. So open the Android emulator. So in this case, I'm not going to use the Android Studio. So just download it, and it will show you all the necessary options for you to guide you to open the Android emulator. So let me close this and go back here. In this case, I'm going to use the iOS simulator. If you want to use the iOS simulator, or if you're using your Mac already, open your App Store in your MacBook and or search for Xcode, and you can download the latest latest version of the Xcode, and that's a developer tool which helps you to use the iOS simulators. So download it, and then you are good to go. So here I just downloaded it, and let me open it just pressing I. If you want to run for Android version, you just need to press A. If you want to run it for the iOS, just press I. So that will open up the iOS simulator, and here we go. So that's loaded my application, and it's still loading the Expo. Sometimes for the initial startup it will take some time, so please wait, because it's trying to build all the apps and files which is already downloaded. So it will take a moment, so please wait until it's built it completely, because once the first build will always take some time. Once it's built, then the next changes, everything will be run much faster. All right, so and here let me bring all the commands again, and still my web option is not showing. So anyway, let me stop the server one time and let's restart it. Yard start, and now you can see that the web option is active. So now if I press W, so that will opens the browser, and it's opened in this separate tab. Let me bring it over here, and here we go. It's running it in the localhost 19006, and this is the mod which I have in that project so far. All right, so let me go back here and let me start my iOS app again, because you can see once you restarted the server, always it shows this issue like disconnected from your metro. Okay, so you have to reload your app. Either press Control or Command R, or simply click inside your terminal, press your key R. That will reload your apps completely, and it will try to refresh the changes. Here we go. So it's now active now. Let me close it and go back to your app.js and try to make some changes inside this text component. Here, let me say like, hey there, a new app or something. Say the changes. Once I made the changes, and instantly you will see the changes in your mobile phone or your simulator or even in the browser itself. Here we go. So this will refresh automatically whenever you're making changes. That's the duty of Expo. Expo will take care of it. Okay, so we successfully installed the emulators, and I shown you the way how to use it in your mobile phone itself. Okay, the next thing is to how to use the Tailwind. We are going to use the Tailwind to make this materialistic UIs, to create this nice UI which we're having over here. We're going to use the Tailwind, and I'm going to show you how to configure the Tailwind CSS. That's what we are going to do next. All right then, so let's open up the browser over here and search for Tailwind CSS React Native. Okay, so there you can find the very first link, Tailwind CSS React Native. That's the package we are going to use it. So click it, and if you scroll down, you can go through there the informations regarding these packages and everything, the configurations and setups and everything, which is briefly explained over here. In this case, I'm going to use it. You can go through it, or you can simply click this link over here, documentation link. So right click and open it. So that will takes you to their separate web page where you can see the configurations for Expo separately, React Native separately. Everything is here. So for Expo, just you can follow this informations from here. Both are same. Okay, so what we can do is just let's see. In this case, I'm just going to use this one from here. Let me go here and scroll down. We already created the application, and this is the dependency we need to add. So copy this command and go to your terminal and paste it. Press enter and copy the second command, yarn add tailwind css. So it's installed. Paste it and run that command. So let's go here. So now we need to initialize our Tailwind CSS, so that will create the Tailwind configuration file. So let me copy this, copy it, and run the command yarn Tailwind CSS init. So that will initialize our Tailwind configuration.js file. And we need to replace the content, because which content you need to monitor for the changes when you're making any changes for your Tailwind CSS. In this case, it should monitor this specific file. Copy this content and update this content file. So it should constantly check the app and the folder name called src. In this case, we don't have any folder name called src. Anyway, later we'll change all those things. Otherwise, let me delete it. Let me delete this. Say the changes. And what we need to do next, we need to update the plugin information in our babel.config.js. So copy this line and update it in your Babel config. Paste it here. Save the changes. All right, so now it's successfully, we configured that file, that configuration of your Babel and everything. Next, we need to wrap the entire component into the Tailwind provider. So copy this line and go to your app.js and paste it over here, Tailwind provider, and wrap your entire component just like this. Copy this and simply change the changes over here. So here I don't need this plus sign, deleted, and we don't need this plus sign, deleted. Save the changes. Okay, so since we don't need this style component anymore, so let me delete this style component, delete it, so that we don't need these styles also. Let me delete it. And we don't need this style sheet also, delete it. Save the changes. So once it's done, and you can see it's push your content completely to the top of your status bar and behind your notch display and everything. So what we can do is we can change this view directly to the safe area view. So basically we have to maintain entire content inside the safe area, not in your status bar. So change this view into safe area view. So whenever you're using the class, please make sure while you're importing the packages, if you're using React Native and React Native Web together, so if you're using React Native Web, that will load only in your React Native, that means in your web, not in your emulator or your mobile app. So because we are using the web mode also, in this case, import it in the React Native, import React Native. So choose that package. So now it's changed. Once you save the changes, that will put it inside your option over here. And it is using the fast refresh option. So instantly it will refresh your files and everything. Okay. And if I'm making any changes over here, that will get refreshed. See? that will get refreshed instantly. All right, so then what we can do is, let's go ahead and install the Tailwind extension. So search for Tailwind, and there you can find the Tailwind IntelliSense. So please install this extension, which is really helpful for you to create a Tailwind, to create a custom UI by using Tailwind much faster. Okay, so let me close this, and here I'm going to write class name, sorry for this text, class name equals, let's say, if you move here, and there you can see how to write the styles and everything. You can see the options. So in this case, I'm just going to say class name, it's going to be text red color or something. Let's see, save the changes, and you can see now the color is successfully changed. Text, it's showing in a red color. So if you want to bring it in the center of the screen, all you have to do is to class name equals. So basically, when you're using a flex box in the web view, by default it is in a row direction, but when it comes to mobile app, by default it is in a column direction. So I need to make sure that this view is taking the complete screen size, so flex 1. Okay, then everything should be in the center, and now that will push the entire content in the center of your screen. So basically our Tailwind configuration is successfully configured properly, and it's up and running perfectly fine. Okay, so but the problem over here with this configuration right now is it's only checking for your app file. In future we might work in a different screens and different components being created, so configuration should work properly for those things also. So to configure your custom folder, so go to your top and open this website. It's already open here, and here you can see the advanced setup, and click the Babel option, and there you can see the folders, screens folders or components folders, or you can directly type it by yourself, / your folder name, and inside any subfolders, inside that whatever the file name it is, and if it is in this extension, that should constantly monitor it. That's what it's basically doing. Folder, subfolders, file name, and only for these extensions. So let me copy these, and let me go here, and right after here add a comma and paste those changes, save the changes. Now all we have to do is to create a screen, different screens and all those things. When it comes to screens, of course we need to know how to navigate from one screen to another. So next what we are going to do is we're going to learn how to configure the React navigation, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so let's open up our browser and search for React native navigation, and there you can find the very first link, React navigation for React native apps. Okay, React native apps. So click this and click the read docs. So there you can find out all the installation procedures and configurations and everything. So first what we have to do, we have to go install the @React navigation native. So change it to yarn, copy this command and paste it in your terminal. So paste it, yarn add @React native. So paste the changes, let it download and install those files. And next what we need to do, we have to install the Expo Pro. For this project we have to install these dependencies too. Either copy this command or this command, both the same. See, React native screens and React native safe area context. So copy the yarn command and paste it in your terminal. So that will download those two necessary packages for your Expo project. And if you're using a React Native, you have to link this. So React Native CLI, this is for if you're using a React Native CLI, so you need to run the pod install command inside your iOS folder. But for the time being, we don't need to worry about it because that's for React Native. And you can straightly come over to the navigation container. We have to wrap the entire content inside our navigation container. Okay, so copy this option and go to your app.js, and right after here import it, and let me delete this, we don't need it anymore. And here I'm just going to say navigation container and everything, all the screens, that's option should be comes inside the navigation container. So let's go back here and let's move to the next page. Hello React Navigation. Cool. So each screen will be managed as a stacks of layers. So we have to install the stack navigator library. So click the yarn and run this, copy this command and paste it over here. All right, so follow through the documentation, that will really helps you for configuring all these things. Okay, so React Native stacks, we already installed the React Native screens and everything, and here we are going to use the create native stack navigator, which helps you to navigate from one screens to another. All right, so let's me copy this line and right after here import it. All right, so then what we need to do is we have to create native stack navigator. So copy this, const copy, and after here I'm just going to paste stack create native stack navigator. Okay, so this is the stack object which helps the users to navigate from one thing. Then here you have to configure all your screens in this way. So let me copy this and let me paste it here. So stack navigator, the first screen is going to be stack screen home component. This is the component name. Okay, like using this name only you can navigate from one screen to another, and this is your component. Basically we don't have this component, so let's go here, right click, new folder, and let's create a folder name called screen. Okay, use the exact same name what we created here. Copy this, my bad, this is supposed to be screens. Then only your Tailwind CSS will look into that folder. Inside the screens folder, and create one more folder called components. Copy this and right click on new folder and paste that folder name components. Basically this folder is for all these sub components, and this is screens is for our main screens. So inside here I'm going to create a new component, that is the home screen, and right click here and create a new file, home screen.js. Okay, and you have to install one more plugin called ES6 or you can click that ES6, so that will, okay, so where is that, like ES7 JavaScript, this one, ES7 plus React Redux native snippets. So this snippets will help you to create the component much faster. So let me show you. So in a React.js run a web project, we used to say RAFC to create an arrow6 function, but here you need to run React native function export, RNFE. That means React native functional export component. So if you want to create it with the style component, with the style component, you can use the second option. In this case I'm just going to use the first one, so press tab, so that will create a functional component with the export statement. Okay, so now our home screen is ready, and here let me say the changes. All right, so now it's refreshing the changes and it's showing an issue, cannot find the variable called home screen. Basically we haven't imported this, so let's import it, save the changes. So now it's been imported, and here you can see it's showing the header and as well as the home screen. So that means our home screen is successfully loaded. Let's make sure the Tailwind CSS is also working fine. So let's see, class name equals text red 400, save the changes. Okay, look at that, the color is changing now, so fine with that. Tailwind configuration is working perfectly with the screens and everything is working fine. So we successfully created stacks of screens. So the React nav, we successfully configure the React navigation. So yet we have to create a different screens, we have to configure, we have to customize these screens in a different way. So now what we are going to do, basically we are going to customize the home screen just exactly the same way over here. So the design what I'm using is like, it's not the original design which I created by myself. Basically I'm using the design from Here I'm using this design from the dribble. The design is so where it is. So this is the design I'm using. Here we go. This is the design which is designed by Travel App Concept by Auden Ruscho, which he done a really nice job, which is a really good design. I'm using his design. I alter it a little bit with the images and all those things. This navigation we don't have. I altered it a little bit, and that's the design we are going to use it. Okay, so we are going to build this home screen now. This is the home screen which we are going to build it, and that's what we are going to do next. Alright then, so let's get started for customizing our home screens over here. So first of all, what we need to do is, I already shared this, all the necessary images which we are going to use in this project. You can download these images from the link which I given below. So go ahead and download all these images. So let me bring this into our project directory. So here, let me copy this and put it inside the assets folder directly. So paste it over here. So replace it. Okay, so now because defaultly we do have the favicon and icons and everything. Okay, so here we can see all the images has been copied. Avatar, hero, photo. Okay, everything is being copied now into our options. Okay, so now what we can do is basically, and every time whenever you're refreshing your screen, for instance, let's say, let me open the terminal and let me reload the app. Okay, so in case if I'm reloading this app, see here, reloading, and you can see whenever you're reloading, you can see it showing some the PNG over here. Basically that's a refresh. If you want to change that loading PNG over here, that's the splash screen. If you see splash.png, this is the PNG it's loading over there. If you want to change this into a different instead of that, if you want to keep it in a different images or anything, in this case what we can use, so let's say instead of this is icon.png. basically this is your app icon. In this case we can use this. Okay, let's say if I'm using this one, let me copy this completely. Copy this restaurants. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go to the app.json and there I can see the splash. Okay, it's loading the image called splash.png. Change this restaurants.png, and if you want to change the icon and change this to restaurant.png, that's my icon it's going to be. So save the changes. Okay, so every time now when I'm refreshing it, if I reload it, it's load that specific icon. See, you can see that changes. Okay, if you want to make it a little bit bigger, you have to create a customized size icon over there, so that will be loaded over that screen. It will be changed and it will be displayed over there. All right, so now we change the icon. Now what I need to do is, all I have to do is to customize the home screen. I don't need this tab option. I need to remove it. To remove that tab option, so all I have to do is to get the navigation options first. So here, okay, so I'm going to use the use navigation hook which is provided by the React navigation, and let's create that first. Const navigation equals use navigation, which is powered by React navigation native. We are going to use that use navigation hook, and I'm going to use the use layout effect. So basically use layout effect is like whenever the UI is loaded, is there any changes in the UI, this will be triggered. Okay, this takes two different parameters, just like the use effect hook. First one is the functional parameter, and the second one is the an array of dependencies. So inside here I'm gonna say navigation dot set options, and then inside the set options we are going to pass the objects. So first object is going to be header shown, header shown object is going to be false. If you don't want to display it, just simply say header shown, it's false, and you can see it's that menu, that option is not showing over there. Okay, and if you scroll down, so basically over here, view in like if you in a web applications, div view is exactly, it's equals to the division div tag. So simply you can say div is view in the React Native. So whenever you are trying to create a new division, you have to use the view. If you want to display a text instead of h1 paragraph and all those things, you have to use the text. All right, so in this case we are going to use the view, and this view is going to be, should be inside the complete inside the safe area of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change, I'm going to delete this completely, delete it, and I'm going to create a safe area view. Safe area view, make sure that you're using React Native, not instead of React Native Web, use the React Native. Okay, and double check it's installed, it is imported inside the React Native. Cool. So if you have a look at the screen, so we have to create this one, right? We are going to create this one. So let's go ahead, and for that I'm going to create a view, and inside here I'm just going to say text and just hide there, save it first. So now you can see that it's perfectly in the safest area of the screen. Okay, so next what we are going to do is we are going to create this sections, these text sections over here. So that's what we are going to do now. All right then, so since we successfully removed the header options and everything, so next what we need to do, we need to create this, the layer option over here, sorry, this complete text options over here. So let's go here, and let me delete this text. Anyway, we are not going to use this, delete it. Okay, so then what we are going to do is, basically what we need to do is we need to make sure that the safe area is taking the complete screen length. So before deleting this text, you can see, so class name equals, I'm just going to say bg red or something. If I save the changes, and you can see it's not taking the complete screen length, so we have to make sure. So flex 1, save the changes, now it's checking the complete screen length. So I don't want this specific color, I'm going to use the white color itself, white, or if you want to use a different color, you can use the different color. In this case I'm going to use the white color. Okay, and I'm going to make this position as a relative position itself. Okay, so now it's taking the entire size of the screen, and the first division is going to be the top section, that is going to be the let's say first section. Okay, so please comment it whenever it's possible. So first section, so we are going to create it as a view. So let's create a view tab here. V is a capital one, so please make sure that's a capital letter. And inside this view, so basically here, this is one view and this is one text component. This is completely a view. Inside this view we have this another view, that's a division, and this is the separate one. Okay, so let's create one more view, and inside that view we are having a text component called go. Right, save the changes. So simply it will looks like a go. So basically this is entirely, that's a division, that's a single view. Okay, so see here, just a moment. Why, give me a minute, just a minute. So here, okay, and let me bring it here now. Okay, so here, if you have a look at it over here, so not this one, so let me change this to here. This is the first division, this is the main division, that's a main view. Inside that main view we have one more view. Okay, this is one more view, and inside that we have that one more text component over here. Okay, so basically we have three, we have to create the main view, and we have to create one more view. and we have to create a separate text tag. Inside this text tag we have the one more text tag. This is what we have to create. Okay, so let's go here. We already created the main view. We have to create the separate view, and here we are going to create one more text. Inside here we are just going to say travel, say the changes. So let's customize this thing. So first what I need to do is I need to bring everything into a straight line. So class name is equals, I'm going to change this to flex row, so that will bring everything in a straight line. And of course I need some space from the margin, and as well as in the left and right I need some space. You can see we have some space over here. Okay, we have some space over there, and as well as we have the space over here also, this, and at the top area we have some space. So all we have to do is to create that necessary space by using the padding and margin. So let's go ahead and create that now. So in the left and right I'm just going to say px6, save the changes. So now you can see that over here you can see it's having some space, and it's the same way from the margin top. So from the margin top I'm going to use margin top 8. I think that space is enough with me. So these are just trial and error, you can adjust it until you feel satisfied. Okay, then what we are going to do is, and basically that should be always in the center, items center, and space between these two should be space x2, because I need some space. Go and travel, it should have some space. Okay, so let's start customizing these. So class name is equals, so first I need to fix the width and height for it. So let's say width as 16 and height as well as 16, and of course it should be completely in a black color, so bg black. It looks like this. Okay, I need to make it perfect circle, so rounded full, rounded full, full. Say the changes. Now it's perfectly rounded, and everything should be maintained in the center of the screen. So item center, you can see go is in the top left corner. Okay, so justify center. Now of course it is in the center of the screen, but the problem is we can't see the text color. So class name equals, if you change the text color to white color, say the changes, now you can see the text over there, but here we are using a different color. Okay, so we need to find out what exact color code it is. So let me open the color reader application. So where it is here, picture. So let me bring that picture over here. Well, okay, here. So let me go click this and figure it out what exact color it is, where it is. There we go, this is the color code. Okay, so this is the color code. So let's copy that color code and let's paste that color code over there. Okay, copy it, and instead of here I can use open the double square bracket and give you a custom styles, and that will display the color over there. And I need to make it a little bit bigger, so that I'm just going to say text 3xl, and I'm going to say font as a semi bold, font semi bold. Save the changes. Look at that, I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, so the color code here I'm going to use this, not this one, because it's not copied perfectly. So I copied something else, so I'm just type that color code which I needed. This is the color code I needed. Good, fine. Okay, so now the go is ready. The next part is for the travel part. Okay, so let's say class name equals, the color code is going to be text hash, and let me copy that color code and paste it here, and you can use these color code for your reference. Anyway, I copied all the color codes and I pasted in the description box, so that you can copy it and keep it somewhere whenever you need this exact same color code, or you can use your own custom color code. So let's say text 3xl for this one, 3xl, and of course I'm just going to say font semi bold. Save the changes. Look at that. So that's perfectly look exactly the same as the way what we have over here. So we successfully finished the first text section. So the next we move on to the next part. All right then, so now let's give a break. So first section is completed, so let's over here, and now let's move on to the second section. So that's the, let's give a command as second section, All right, so here now what we have to do is, let's have a look at here first. So what we have to do is, so basically we have to create a separate a division. Sorry, wait a second. Wait, showing permissions and all those things. Let me close this. And here, let me bring a triangle tool. So here, okay, so first what we have to do, we have to create a view. Inside this view, now what we need to do, inside that specific view, we have to bring two different text boxes. That's what we are going to do now, basically. So that's the option. Okay, so inside this is the main division. Inside that division, we have to create one text box and another one text box. That's what we are going to do now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start building that. Let's go here and let's create a main view, and inside that we are going to create one text view, and that text is going to be enjoy the trip with. And the second text, what is the second text? Good moments. So let me copy it and paste it one more time, and I'm just going to change this to good moments. Save the changes. Okay, so basically that's looking like that. So we just have to customize it. So for this class name, I'm just going to add the padding and the margin exactly the same as px6 and margin top 8, and space between in the y, not in x left and right, the top and bottom, I'm just going to add space y 3. So now we have some space between these two text boxes. And let's customize this text box now one by one. So class name is going to be, okay, so the text color is going to be hash 3C6072. Oops, better I copy it and I paste it, making blunder mistake. Okay, so now you can see that color over there, and the text size is going to be custom size. I'm just going to fix it as 42 pixels. Look at that, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so and then I'm just going to copy the same color code for this one. Class name is going to be text hyphen hash, paste the changes, and the text size is going to be a quite big size. So text, I'm just going to say 38 pixel, and I'm going to make it font bold. Say the changes. That looks like this. So that section is completely fine now. The next what we need to do, we need to bring this the third layer. So that's what we are going to do now. So right after this, over here, or we can keep it inside the second section after this text box itself. So I'm just going to say text, okay, and I'm going to say lorem ipsum, but this is not needed this much big. I'm just going to say until where we can do let's say until this. I think this is enough, and let's have some styles over here. So class name is going to be, and text size and all those things, I'll just copy this color code. Text color, first we can choose the text color. So text is going to be hash this color code, and the text size is going to be a normal size like this. Okay, so now we successfully created this exactly as it is. So then what we need to do is we have to bring this image and these two different circles. So let's bring those two circles, then I'll show you how to bring this image over there. Okay, that's what we are going to do now. All right then, so let's create this blue circle first. So let's see, this is the second division, this is the second section is ending over here. So let's say as the third section, or let's say circle section. Okay, so here, and we can say we are going to create a plain view only, view. Okay, so basically that view is going to be in the absolute position. Okay, so let's see here. I'm just going to say class name. First, let's create the width and height. I'm just going to fix the width as 400 pixel. 400 pixel, and height is also going to be the 400 pixels. 400 pixels. Okay, so then what we are going to do is basically bg, I'm going to say hash, we are going to use this exact same color code from here, copy it, and we can paste it over here, save the changes, and you can see a very big box over here. So we can make it as a rounded full. Now it looks like a perfect circle. So we are going to make it absolute. So absolute, it's going to refer its parent element over here, the view, safe area view. That's going to be absolute. That is in the top now. Okay, so from the bottom, I'm just going to push it 36. From the bottom, it should be there. And in the right side, I'm just going to say right minus right 36, like that. So now it's perfectly in the right side. Okay, so what we are going to do is basically we can copy this line completely and we can paste it one more time. Instead of this color, I'm just going to change the color code, copy it, change the color code, and instead of bottom 36, I'm just going to bring it a little bit down. So instead of bottom 36, let's say minus bottom 28. Save changes, so you can see that circle over there, and instead of keeping it over there, I need to bring it in the left side. So change this right to left. Now we have that circle over here. Okay, so to the top of this, we need to load the image container, and that's what we are going to do next. Okay, then, so let's see. You can find this image which is in the assets folder which I already shared with you. You can find the image name called hero. So we are going to load this image in that specific position. So let me close this. So before loading into that, so let me create a separate sections. First, let's say image container or something. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to create a separate view. Okay, we are going to bring a separate view in this specific position, in this complete position, and we are going to keep that image over there. Okay, so let's create a view. Okay, view, and class name is going to be, this view should take the complete length, whatever the space it's available, it should take the complete length. So flex 1, and the position, it's going to be relative position, and everything inside in this view, it should be exactly in the center position. Okay, so now if you apply any background color or anything, you can see this is that position. See, basically it's taking the complete available position, so I don't need anything. Let me delete that. I'll keep everything in the center, and inside this view what we are going to do is we are going to bring that image. Okay, so I'm just going to use the image image from the React Native. I'm going to use that class image and a self-closing component. So basically loading an image inside your using the image component, so you have to use the property name. We have to use the prop called source prop. Inside the source prop, you have to supply the if you're supplying a URL, you have to supply it using URI. You can't find the URI, you need to supply the URI and paste that URL inside here. That will load that image directly. So for instance, let's say if you want to load any image from the browser, for instance, let's say let's go to the Pixabay. So let's say I want to load this picture. Oops, not this one. We can search any pictures. Let's click the home menu. Okay, so let's say I want to load this picture. So let me copy this image address and go here and paste it here. Okay, so it's not loaded because we didn't give any width and height. So let's say if I'm giving the class name, I'm just going to say width 20 and height and 20, object cover, say the changes, and there you can see it's loaded the images over here. So basically you have to use this component, and you have to, if you're using a URL, you need to supply it inside the URL like this, inside the URI, inside the source prop. Inside the source prop you have the URI object, and you need to supply your URL over there. And even though if you supply the URL, it will not load it just like in the way in a web. Once you given the URL, it will load that image whatever size it is, but inside the mobile you have to keep the exact size, then only it will load that image. In this case we are not going to load this. And what we are going to do is, inside the assets folder, I'm going to create a new file called index.js, because later in the project you might have a different images, so every time you can't import one by one image inside, so that will make a very big import statement. So if I'm importing, let's say in the same component I want to import 10 to 16 images, sometimes not that much. If we are going to do, then it will create the 10 to 16 import statements differently. I need to import it in this way, so that's the reason we are creating an index.js inside the assets folder, and I'm going to export that image. Export by default as hero image from dot slash, and I'm just going to copy that name of that image, copy the name and paste it here. Save the changes. Now it will be exported, and inside the home screen, inside this URL, I can simply say, I'll delete this. I can bring that hero image, save the changes. So it's showing an issue. Okay, so what we can do is, instead of supplying it in the URI, we'll directly supply it over here. There we go. So now that image is successfully loaded over there. Okay, so basically it's taken that complete, that loaded image loaded over there, but the problem is height and width, so it should take the full height. So why the reason it's not working is because it's an object which is coming from our local file. If you're using a URL, then only you need to use the URI. Currently this is an object, so that's the reason I'm directly supplying it into the source object, source property. Okay, so now the image is taking the complete width and height and everything. Okay, so then what I need to do is, I just need to push it a little bit from the top, because you can see I don't want to see this gap between there, so I'm just going to push it a little bit down. Okay, so I think this is perfectly fine. Okay, so we perfectly build the same replica over here. You can see the image is perfectly in the left and right, it's perfectly fine, and here also it's perfectly fine. The only thing is missing is, all we have to do is to bring this option over here, just like this, the outline, and as well as this view over here, we have to bring that one. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so let's have a look over here first. So what we need to do is, inside this image, so basically this is two different divisions. These are two different divisions. You can see this outside is one division. Oops. Just a moment. Outside is the different division. So here, the outside circle is a different division, and inside that one more go is the different one, and inside that we do have this go text. Okay, so that's how we need to wrap these stuffs entirely inside that. Okay, so let's go ahead, and here, so what we need to do right after here, I'm just going to create one view. That's a main view, and inside that view I'm going to create one more view, and inside that I'm going to create one more text, and that is going to be go. Save the changes. So that will display the go over here. So basically that should be exactly in the center over this specific position. Okay, to do that, what I need to do is, all I have to do is to make this main view as an absolute position. So absolute, from the bottom I'll put it in the 20. Okay, and say the changes. Now it is over here, right? Then what we need to do is, so we can say that as width 24, and we can say height as 24, and 1 second. View, just a moment. Okay, so here we made the height and width. So let's say the changes, and if you're using any background color, let's say if I'm using any background color, you can see that background color. So basically we don't need any background color for it. All we have to do is to just um, we need to bring the border. All we have to do is to bring the border. So let's do that. But what we need to do is basically it should bring everything in the center of the screen. Even if it is absolute position, it's not bringing in the center of the screen. I think what's the reason? Image is perfectly there and it's using this relative position only. Fine. Ah, that's the problem. So it is not is inside the division. That's why I'm wondering. Actually, it is supposed to be in the center of this screen over here, because we already wrapped it as an item center and justify, but this is supposed to be inside this view over here. Now it is in the center position. So my bad. After this image only, you have to create that. After the image, you have to create that. Now it's perfectly fine. But I don't need this background color. So here I'm just going to say border. So all I have to do is to left side and right side. So you can, if you have a look at over here, what I'm talking about, see here. So here, and you can see the left side is a little bit thinner, and in the right side also a little bit thinner, but on the top it's a little bit darker, but bottom we don't have a border effect. So that's what we are going to do now. So what I need to do is, for this I'm just going to say border left, I'm just going to say 2, and border right I'm just going to say 2, and border top I'm just going to say 4. Okay, and the border color, we are going to fix it border, we are going to say the exact same color, this one. Copy that color code and paste it over here. So now you can see that, okay, in the left and right we have a thinner border, and top we have a darker one. But the thing is, like, what we can do is, this is, let me enable the word wrap so that we can everything in a single screen. Okay, so I need to make it rounded full. So now it will be rounded, you can see that. Then item center and justify center, that will keep everything in the center of the screen. Bingo. So now what we need to do is this one, width. I'm going to make the width for this view. So class name, for this width I'm just going to say width 20, height 120, and I'm just going to say item everything in the center, justify everything in the center, and make it rounded full. And the BG color is going to be background, is going to be hash, this exact same color code what we are using at the top, this one. Say the changes, now it will be in the center. And for this text, what we are going to do is, I'm just going to say class name and text gray color, let's say gray 50. That's, I think that's enough. And the text size is going to be a little bit bigger. I'm just going to say 40 pixels. And font semi bold is enough. Save the changes. Look at that. I think that's perfect. Otherwise you can reduce the little bit size over here, 36 pixel. Okay, 36 is perfectly fine. Okay, so that's looking perfectly fine. So what we need to do is, so basically it's simply doing a plain button. So we need to add some clickable event. So it's not looking fine, right? So when I click it, it looks like some clickable actions over there. So instead of plain a view, so what we can do is, I can wrap this view completely into a touchable opacity. Use the React Native, and inside here, and now when I click this, see, we have that touchable opacity. All right. So if you want to change this touchable opacity for the entire view, then wrap the entire view for the touchable opacity. In this case, I'm just going to keep this button like this. Okay. And then the next part, now you can see that we are done with pretty much with our home screen. The only part is remaining in the home screen is just the animation. We just need to add some single animation. When the image is loading, we have to make sure the image is fading in, and we have to add some animation, a pulse effect for this button over here. It should pulse constantly. Okay, so we are going to use that animations. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then. So to add the animations inside the React Native, basically we need to use this package. So let me search for React Native Animatable. Search for that. And there you can find this package, React Native Animatable NPM. So click this. So here you can see all the props for that, how to add the animations, how to import this animations, and what are the different animations that it can see. If you scroll down, you can see these are all the different animations that you can use: bounce, fade in, bounce out, fade in, fade out, all the entrance animations, exit animations, all the options you can add it over here. Okay, let's take your time and go through all the animations and everything. So let's first install this package. So let's scroll to the top and copy this name, copy it, and open your terminal, Control J or Command J, and paste it over here. Install that. So it's not like this. Come on, let me clear it and add yarn, add, paste it. So that will install that package. And now what we need to do is so here we need to import this one, copy this and scroll up. Okay, scroll it up a little bit, and at the top right after here, I'm just going to import that one, import star animatable and everything. Okay, so once you added that one, all that you need, all I have to next, what I need to do is all I have to do, just like in a frame or motion, what we will do, we'll wrap it in by using the motion object here. We just need to wrap it with animatable object, animatable dot image. Okay, just like that, you need to wrap it. And objects, what are the objects? Then you have to supply, you can supply anything. What is the animation you are going to use, what is the duration, delay, direction, easing. These are all the easing objects you can use. Okay, in this case, the animation I'm going to use for this is animation. The animation name is going to be pulse. I'm just going to use the pulse animation. Okay, pulse. Then easing ease out, ease out. Okay, and then save the changes. Otherwise we can use in not pulse. Okay, fade in. So basically fade in for your image, my bad. Ease in out, save the changes. So now once the image is coming in, it looks like that. So if I refresh it, look at that. Okay, so then for this button over here, that is this view. So here, hold your alt key or option key to create a multi-cursor editor, and then type animatable dot view. Okay, then press the escape key to remove that animatable options, that the multi-cursor options. So the animation name we are going to use this over here is the pulse animation, and the easing option we are going to use is ease in out. Save the changes, and it should run constantly. So iteration count, that's an object we can use, and I'm going to say infinite. Save the changes. So now we can see it have that pulse effect. Look at that. So that's looking awesome, right? So when I click this, it have that fade in and fade out effect by using this touchable opacity, and this having this pulse effect, like it's running infinite number of times over here. Okay, and it's nicely animated because of this ease in and ease out effects. All right, so now when I click this, that's need to navigate to the next screen, and that's what we are going to do now. All right, then, since we successfully added this nice animation and nice touchable opacity for this, so we need to make a slight changes over here. So when I click this, like outer layer, it's not adding that opacity. So the problem is because I added the opacity for the inner view, not for the entire view. So let's put it outside like this, and let's bring this outside like this. See the changes. Now when you do it, it will have that entire animation of the opacity level, but the still be having some problem. That's because what we can do is, maybe instead of changing this stuff like that, we can simply change, we can copy this and change this entire outer view as a touchable opacity view, and delete this touchable opacity. All right, so this small alteration, and now the UI will remain same, and when you click it, the entire outer layer will get you can see, including the border, you have that opacity level and everything. All right, so now let's add that click event for this. So when I click this, it's need to be navigated to the second screen. Okay, so let's do that. So before moving into that, we need to create one more screen. So I'm just going to create a screen name called discover.js, and I'm going to say RNFE, React Native Function Export Component. Save the changes, and let's get to the home screen over here. Okay, so inside the discover screen, now what we need to do is we have to add a lot of stuff. So before into that, let's move on to the home screen now, and in the home screen over here, I need to add the touchable on press event. Okay, in a web app, we used to write an on click events. Over here we need to write on press. So using on press event, okay, so now we are going to navigate it. That's why we create an object called navigate. We haven't created yet, I think so. Yes, we need to create an object by using the use navigation hook. I think, yeah, we already done that. Use navigation is there, so we need to use that navigation. Yeah, navigation dot navigate. So here I need to give that exact screen name where it's need to be navigated. So here I'm just going to say discover. So basically, using the navigation object which we created in the previously, and we have the method called navigate, and we are instructing it to navigate this specific screen. So this screen, we created it, but we haven't configured inside our stack navigator. So here all I have to do is I have to create one more. So stack dot screen, and I need to give a name, exact same name. So copy that name and paste it over here, and the component is going to be, whenever it sees in the navigation option throwing this name, so it should load discover component. So make sure discover component is added over here, and here let's say the changes. Now when I click this, that will takes me to the discover page. So I can come back by clicking this, and even in the real mobile phone, the gestures will work. Okay, in the simulator it's very hard to keep track it, but in the real mobile app, if you check it in your mobile phone, the gestures will also work perfectly. So now all we have to do is to just remove the navigation option, the menu. You can see in the for that page we have this header, so we just need to remove it, and we can start customizing that UI which we have to design. So let me open that, just give me a minute. I closed it unfortunately. So where it is, I think I saved it over here. Here it is. Let me bring it to the screen. So we have to design this screen structure by structure. Okay, so the first of all, we need to start removing that header which we are already having there. So that's what we are going to do next. Okay then, so let's close everything. So like I don't need the app.js over here. Index, let me close this, let me close this, and let me close this. So let's keep the home screen and the discover alone. So here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this object. Let me copy it and I'm going to paste it. So we don't want to waste our time in typing the same code again. Let us copy and paste it over there. And I need to import this one. Let me import it. Import it. And here we are getting an issue. What is that issue? While copy and pasting, where exactly I'm pasting it? So oh god, I missed this line, my bad. Let me copy this completely and let me paste it here. Yeah, now it's fine. So here we need to import this and we need to import this useLate effect. Save the changes. Now you can see that the header is gone now. So all I'm going to do is we are going to basically create this option over here. You can see we are going to create this. Basically this is a complete view. All right, this is a complete view, and inside that view, inside this view, oops, sorry, main view, and inside this view you have one more view and we have another view. Okay, so this is the structure we have to create now. So let's go ahead and create that. So I'm going to change these two. I'm going to change that, both these two, as a safe area view using React Native. So I'm going to import it from the React Native. Make sure that you're importing it from the React Native. Okay, and I'm going to add this safe area view for a set, and this safe area view should take the complete play space available, so flex 1, so that will make sure to take the complete length. And I'm going to give the BG as a white color, and I'm going to give the position as the relative position. Let me delete it. So as I said, we need to create one complete view first, so that's what we are going to create now. So here I'm going to create a view, so that's the main view, and that inside that I'm going to create two more view. This is for that text content, and here this is that for oops, and this is for that image tag. So inside this, what are the text we do have? Inside here we have this two different text option, discover and the beauty today. So we are going to add these two text boxes over there. So let's bring that text. So what is the text we do have? Discover. So discover, and let me copy and paste it one more time. Instead of discover, I'm just going to say discover the beauty today. Some catchy text. You can change, you can write your own catchy text over there. All right, so let's save the changes. Let's see how it's looking. Look at that. So we do have that options and everything. Let's add this image later. First let's fix this text box and everything. So for this view, basically we are going to this text boxes, and these two should be in a single row. So for the main view, I'm just going to say it as, okay, so let's say these things as change this to flex row. So this will change it to a flex row, and everything should be aligned in the center, and they should justify the space between. So both of them should be distribute the space between them, and in the both left and right side I'm going to add a padding effect as px8. So now you have some space over here and that side. And for this I'm just going to do the I'm going to leave it as it is, because I'm not going to add anything else. Everything is perfectly, it is in a column direction. And for this discover text, class name equals, okay, I'm just going to give the size as text. I'm going to fix the text size as 40 pixel, so 40 pixel. And then color of the text is going to be hash, and I'm going to copy the color which I already used, 64 6b, where it is. No, I haven't used that color, so let me type it. So color code is 0b64 64 6b. This is the color we are going to use. This looks like that. and I'm going to say it as font bold. Save the changes, and that look exactly as it is how it's looking over here. Then we need to change these things for class name. For this text, color is going to be hash 5278 So don't worry about these color codes and all those things. I already shared it in the description, so please go ahead and copy this 527283. My bad, 527283. Then text size is going to be 36 pixels. Save the changes. That looks like that. I think that's perfectly fine, right? Cool. So then what we are going to do is I'm just going to write a styles for this view. So basically this view is going to be width 12, height 12, and for the time being I'm just giving a gray, or let's say I'm giving some color. Later I'll remove it. You can see a box over there, and that box is going to be rounded empty. Say the changes. Now that is rounded perfectly. Okay, and I'm going to say as item, everything inside should be item center and the justify center, because inside this we are going to just keep the image. That's what we are going to do. Apart from that, we are not going to add anything else. In the assets which I shared with you already, if you haven't downloaded, click the link in the description so that you can download it. So click the avatar. This is the avatar we are going to load over there. So in the future you might add the login authentications and everything. In that time you need to keep your authenticated user profile picture over there. For the time being, I'm just loading the dummy image right now. So image, we are going to use the image. Let's import that image from the React Native and then close this thing. Of course, we need to export that image name. So let me copy this image name, and inside the index.js file, let's export this thing. So export default as avatar from /avatar.png. Now I can use this object name over here. So source is equals avatar. Okay, and we need to import that avatar from the assets images, and the class name for this is going to be, of course, it's going to take the width full, height full, rounded MD, and object cover. Say the changes, and look at that. Now we have that image perfectly sitting over there. And if you wish to add some shadow effects too, you can add some shadow effects for it. So let's say shadow LG. Okay, so that might add some shadow effects for there over there. Okay, so we are pretty much done. So then what we are going to do is we are going to bring this search box, which is actually a real a Google Places search box. Okay, so once you click that, and it will show the autocomplete options and everything, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so since we successfully created the top header section, so next what we need to do is we need to create this search box. So basically this search box is bind with Google Places API powered by Google, and it have an autocomplete feature, so that the user can type the place's name. It will show the suggestions of the places with an autocomplete option. Okay, so let's see how to add that. To add that, we are going to use a package name called React Native Google Places Autocomplete. That's a quite big name. So anyway, I'll show you. So here, search for a package called React Native Google Places Autocomplete. Yes, it is. This is the one. So React Native Google Places Autocomplete. So open it, and that gives you the preview how exactly it's going to be. This is what we needed. We need the search box, and as well as we need the autocomplete feature. Cool. Then here we go. So how to install it? First we need to add this package. Of course, let's copy this line and let's open up your terminal, and let me add it over here. So that will add it. So let's go here. And step 2, go to Google Places API and enable Google Places API web services, and you should have the billing. Of course, only if you are Google the main your Google account, if you have a billing account, then only this places APIs will be enabled. So because this will charge you when you're using the API, there is a certain limit. So you until a certain limit it's free. Once you cross that limit, you will be charged. As much you use, it will be charged. So pay as you go. Okay, so to do that, what you need to do is, so click here and go to console.cloud.google.com. So that's the place you need to navigate. So I dropped the link in the description, so please click that. So here, first of all, what you need to do is you need to create a new project for yourself. So here I already have a several project. If you don't have any project, so please click here and create a new project. If you click this, so that will ask you to type the project name and what is the organization location and all those things. In this case, I'm not going to create anything else. Just create for yourself, just create a new project. Okay, because that's having a very certain limits for each email ID. Already I do have a quite a list of projects over here. Okay, in this case I'm just going to click my own, which I already using for a very long time, because this is the account which having my billing accounts and everything. So once you created that project, open it. This is how the dashboard will looks like. And in the left side you can see, over here in the left side you can see billings. So click the billings and make sure that you added all your billings and everything. So here it will take some time, so make sure that you added your billing payment, what exact payment method you are going to use and all those things. If you go to the payment overview, okay, so you need to add a billing account. Even if you don't have a billing account, initially it will ask you to add the billing accounts and everything. So here you can see it will shows you the payment options, manage payments options and everything. You need to add your debit or credit card over here, so that will be automatically debited and at the certain time of period. All right, so now what I'm going to do is over here, let's say I'll go to the APIs and services. Once you completed your billing account, go to the APIs and services. All right, so here in the library, click the library and search for places API. Most probably it will display over here itself. Otherwise, search for places API. Places API. Search for Google Places API. You can find the very first one itself. So click it. And I do already enabled it for the demonstration. So here click enable for yourself, so it will take a few minutes to enable it. Once it's enabled, it will show this option as manage and all those things. Okay, so here you can, if you scroll down, you can see the documentation of this API, how to use it and all those things. And here you have the pricings also, how much it will charge and all those things. If you click this, it will shows you the details of charging and all this thing. It is mostly, it shows pay as you go. Like that is a certain credit limit. Once you moved that credit limit, it will, once you go beyond that credit limit, it will charge you as much you go. Okay, so mostly for this example, free version is itself more than enough. Okay, anyway, but it will allow you to use only if you already enabled it. Otherwise there is no options. So now we successfully enabled it. Now let's go back to our where it is. Let's click this link. Okay, so let's go back to the APIs and services. Go back to the APIs and services and click the credentials. And we need to access the key. Where is that key? Just a moment. Show me the key. And wait a second. Where we can find that key. Key. I think this is that key. So EIZA, yeah, this is that key. Okay, so Once you added that, it will shows you an API key. Once you added that option, it will shows you an API key. So this is that API key which is auto generated for me. Okay, so click that and open it, and initially it will ask you to, do you want to allow any restrictions, which applications you want to add. So key restrictions, if you open that API key, and you can see currently I didn't have add any restrictions so far over here. That means this, if anyone having this key, they can access this key through any of this particular domain services and all those things. So most probably no issues. After this tutorial, of course I will delete this key. Anyways, if you're making it, if you're working for Android or iOS app, please be more specific, so that will restrict this key access. Okay, for the time being I'm just keeping it to leave it as it is, and then this is our key. I'm just going to keep it as it is. And now since our that package is successfully added, so what we need to do is, so here this view, let me close this, let me go back here and go to this package over here, and we need to add this line. So let's copy this line, import Google autocomplete. Let me copy this line and let me scroll up here, and right after here let me paste it. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to bring one more view, because we need to keep that thing in our design. If you have a look at it, this is a separate view, so we need to keep this in a separate view. For that, I'm going to create one more view. This is the view, it's been completed over here. I'm going to create one more view, and I'm going to name that view, give a class name. Okay, so that view is going to be let's say flex row. Okay, flex row, item center. Okay, and I'm going to say bg white and mx4, margin left and right 4, and rounded excel, and py1 and px4, and let's save the changes. Okay, currently nothing is happening. Let's add some shadow effects also, so that you can see exactly how it's going to looks like. So shadow LG. Okay, so now we can probably see something over here. Okay, so let me bring that, let me add some margin top. From the margin top, it needs to be, so instead of white color, if I change this to red or something, so that you can see it much clearly what it's happening over there. See, we have that option over there, but I don't need the red color, I need white. And then inside here, I'm going to bring that Google Places, this one, the autocomplete feature which we have. So let me copy this and let me paste it. So probably it will bring that text box over here, but it doesn't work because we need to use our key over here. So that's where this key take places. Let's copy this place key and let's replace this key with our key. Okay, so probably we are not supposed to use this key as it is. We need to put it inside the environment variable, and we need to access it through environment variable. That's where you can keep your keys and everything safer. Okay, so now for the time being, to keep it simple, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And along with this, okay, so now I hope everything is done. So if it is, so let's try adding, let's see, let me check. Now you can see that once you added your keys and everything, it started to work perfectly, right? It started to work perfectly, and it's up and running, and it's working perfectly. When I type Doga, it's showing a list of suggestions over here, and we do have the console log also. Let me go to the control panel. Currently there is nothing, so when I click it, you can see it's giving me a bunch of values. All right, so it's giving us a bunch of values, description, Doga, and match the substring, what is the length, offset, and a lot of informations like the place ID. This is the unique place ID. Using this place ID, we can fetch the informations by using different APIs of the Google. We can access the complete place informations and everything. Okay, so probably what we need is we need only the geographical location, that means latitude and the longitude locations. To access the latitude and longitude location in this package, you need, so after quite long research, I figured out from a Stack Overflow how to access the latitude and longitude location. So let's go back here and let's go back to the library and let's click the places API one more time. If you click their documentation, and there where it is places iOS, not iOS, API. So here please autocomplete location, and oh my goodness, I missed it. Where it is? Not this one, not this one, not this one. Not in this. Then where it is, where it is? Inside. No, not here. Documentation. Google Map API. Come on, I missed it. Where it is? Geolocation, geocoding, geolocation. Because somewhere I forget where I get that. Not this one. Then I think geocoding. Geocoding, example apps, reverse geocoding with place ID. All right, so leave it. I totally forget where I checked that one. Otherwise, let's search for we are getting the let's say React Native Google Place autocomplete get latitude and longitude. Here we go. This is the one. This is the one which I searched. This is the one I used to figure it out. And here you can see this answer has really helped me a lot. Okay, using this answer only, now we are going to get the geographical location. So we are basically, in our example, we are getting the details. From the details, we have an object called geometry, and inside the geometry we have the location. Okay, inside the location, just like the same way, we have the viewport also. In that we have two different objects, location and viewport. Using the viewport, we are going to get the viewports. Okay, so to do that, what are the things we need to add? So first we need to fetch the data. So fetch details, of course, fetch details, it's going to be true. So now it will fetch the details objects, and the placeholder, I'm just going to leave it as it is as a place. And okay, on press event, so we have the objects and everything, and inside the queries we do have the languages and the keys, and everything is perfectly as it's supposed to be. And we need the geometric. So to get the geometry, Google Place Details query. So I'm going to enable the Google Place Details query. Inside the Google Place Details query, I'm going to enable the fields. Basically, I'm going to enable the fields object, and that fields object is going to be geometric. Geometry. We are going to enable the geometry object. Okay, so for that, make sure there is no spelling mistakes and all those things. Fine, now it is fine. And inside here, instead of this data. I don't need this data anymore. Let me close this, and I'm going to get the details. Conditional checking, details question mark dot, if it is have geometry object question mark dot, and get the, as I said, we have two different object, locations and viewport. In this case we are going to use the viewport, and I'm going to print that, save the changes. And now let me close this and let me search for the toga again. And if I click this, that will, in the console we can see it's printing the northeast latitude and longitude, and the southwest the latitude and longitude. This is all what we needed. All right, so let me copy this, because that's the toga which is the current location. Let me copy this, text edit, we need it a lot. So let me create a new document and let me save the changes. Okay, so this is what we needed. Later we'll access this latitude and longitude, northeast and southwest. That's what we needed. Okay, so let's keep it as it is. And now the next what we need to do is, we need to, using this latitude and longitude location, we need to get that places informations. And now I'm going to show you how to do that. Now let's go and do that. All right, since we successfully integrated the Google Places API, which is up and running perfectly fine. So next what we need to do is, we need to activate our Places, the travel API. So let's go ahead and do that. So search for, let me leave it as it is. So let me create a new tab, and here I'm going to search for Rapid API. Search for Rapid API. So if you're using the Rapid API, initially you have to sign up with your Gmail or GitHub, whatever your account you have, sign it up. And basically over here, this is free for, you can use the free. In this case, I'm going to use the travel API, the travel, I think travel advisor. Travel advisor. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one which I'm using right now. All right, so here you can see hotels, restaurants, attractions, shared flights, all the options you can search. And if you click the pricing details, you have the pricing details. You have the free version, which is 500 requests per month. Okay, and for per second you can get the 5 requests, and if you're using pro you need to pay $20 per month. I think 500 is the enough, the free version is enough for the practicing purpose for this project. Anyway, we are not going to make this live, we are just going to keep it for our own personal portfolio, for our portfolio purpose. Let's go to the endpoints over here. In this case, let me open the restaurants. Oops, not this one. Let me open the restaurants, and you can see we have lots of way to access it. In this case, we are going to access it by using boundaries, because that is necessary to give the latitude and longitude locations. Okay, so this latitude longitude locations, if you are searching it by using places, it's really easy. But if you are working with the latitude and longitude location, there are very certain limits of APIs which work with the latitude and longitude locations. Okay, so what we need to do is, all we have to send the latitude and longitude location which we already collected from our Google Places API. We do have, if you remember, we have where it is, here it is, we have the northeast and the southwest latitude and longitude location. Okay, so that's what we need to supply over here. Bottom left, basically that is the southwest, and top right, that is the northeast. So we have to supply the latitude and longitude locations over here. That will gives you the list of details. Okay, so I'm just going to I need to remove the unwanted informations. So let me delete these things which is not necessary, we don't need it. Let's keep it limit 30 records, it's fine. USD, it's fine. Okay, open now. Let's Okay, let me do not include it in the request, we don't need it. And kilometer, okay, distance in kilometer, that's in, we can keep it. And language, it's okay, fine. So these are the informations which we need to add. And now let's change the latitude and longitude location which we have. So here, what it is asking, bottom left latitude. So that's why I copied it. So bottom left, that means southwest. Bottom left latitude, let's copy this latitude information and let's paste it over here, latitude. And top right latitude, that means northeast latitude, let's copy the northeast latitude and let's paste it here. And now it's asking bottom left longitude, that is southwest longitude, let's copy this longitude. And now it's asking top right longitude, that means northeast longitude. So now let's test this endpoint. Let's test this endpoint. So this should return. There we go. Now we can see it's returning all the restaurants which is nearby. It is in this current location. See, Doha. It's giving the Doha and it's showing the restaurants name, restaurants and everything. So basically we are going to use this informations in our project. So we have the APIs, now it's up and working. Now we need to integrate it and we need to bring it inside our local store in our local file. That's what we are going to do next. All right, then, since we successfully enabled the travel advisor API using rapid APIs, so we know that the APIs is working perfectly. Now all we have to do is to complete the design so that we can integrate this with our UI. So we need to create this, we need to create this menu options. So first let's create this menu options so that we can start moving on to the next options over here. So let's go ahead and create the menu options first. All right, so this is the view, and right after here I'm just going to say menu container. Basically that's the menu options, and here we are going to create the one more view, and inside this view we are going to create the menu containers, menus, options and everything one by one. All right, so what we can do is so if you have a look like this, like whenever the user wants to scroll down, this entire thing needs to be scrolled. Like I can scroll up and down, right? I need to scroll this thing entirely up and down. So it should go as well as, and it should scroll up and down. In that case, what we need to do is we need to change this view as a scroll view. As a scroll view. Scroll view, React Native scroll view. So now it's enabled as a scroll view, and here I'm going to create a view because inside this scroll view, this is the first main view we do having. This is this first main view, this is the one, and then this is the next view, and then these are the next view containers. Like this, 3 different views we have. So let's go ahead and create the first view, that's the menu main container, and let's add some styles for it. Okay, and I'm going to say flex row, item center, and I'm going to keep it in the center, justify center, and px left and right, padding left and right, and margin top I'm going to keep it as 8. So that will bring something over here. Currently nothing is showing, and inside here I'm just going to bring the menu containers one by one. Okay, so let's have a look at it, this menu container. So what do we have over here? So we have the image, and we do have the name of it. So these 2 information, so let's create that. So I'm going to create a separate component. So that's the reason we created a new folder over here, and here I'm going to create it as a menu container.js, and I'm going to say RNFE React Native functional export, and I'm going to use it over here, menu container. Okay, so this menu container needs a key. It should be Unix. So key, let's say I'm going to use the name itself, so I'm just going to keep it as a hotel, and then I need to supply the name of the menu container. What exactly this is going to be. So name is going to be hotels. So let's supply. So title equals hotels. Then what do we need? We need the image. So image src equals. So here I need to supply the URL. So I do already have the assets in our uh, assets folder, hotel. This is the hotel. We need to supply this vector. To do that, let's go here and let's copy this and paste it for hotels and for attractions and for restaurants. Okay, so let's change this hotels, attractions, and restaurants. Okay, so let's copy the one by one image hotel, copy it and give it over here, hotel. Then what else? Attraction, copy it and give it over here. Then what else? Restaurant, where it is, copy the name of that image and give it over here. So now we have the executable objects. So now we have the objects over here so that we can use it inside our menu container. So I'm going to supply the object over here. This is the hotel, so I'm going to use the hotels images. Okay, so since I need to get the state, so we need to understand which exact menu is currently active. If it is currently active, I need to change the background color of that selection. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a state over here. So use state snippet and I'm going to name it as type, set type. Initially the type is going to be restaurants. Initially we are going to pass, we are going to use the which one, let's say here restaurants. We are going to passing the restaurants. So basically why I'm giving the type over here is because if you have a look at it, the restaurants and for hotels the URL is typically same. Only this thing is going to constantly change, so I don't need to change the entire stuff of this API calling. I just need to change this part, so you will understand it later. So I'm just creating a use state snippet with the type. I'm going to pass that type. Okay, if that particular type and the name which is currently being loaded, if both are same, then we will change the background color. Okay, so type is going to be type and set type is going to be set type. Okay, these are the informations we need to supply it into our option, and it's showing cannot find the variable use state. Of course we didn't, we have to import it. It's imported. Now it shows it's working perfectly and you can see the menu container is loaded properly. And we need to bring all these keys objects over there. So let me copy it and I need to first bring the title. Let me expand it and let me bring the title prop inside, and we need to bring the image. Let me copy it and I need to bring the image prop. Then I need to bring type. Then I need to bring the set type. Copy it and say the changes. So next what we are going to do, we are going to customize this menu container. Okay, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so since we finalized the layouts and for the main menu container, so let's customize the each menu cards one by one. So let's go here and have a look at our design. So let's see how exactly it's been designed over here. You can see it do have a main view, and inside that we have one internal view and we have another one. Okay, we are displaying the text and we're having the image over here. So let's go ahead and let's do that. All right, so where we are, so let me over here. Fine, so we added all our images, the properties and everything which is necessary we added, and this is entirely it's going to be touchable opacity. Let me change this to touchable opacity. Touchable opacity React Native. Change this to. Then only we can add an on press event for it. Okay, and let me delete this. And I'm going to add a class name for it. Class name is equals. So basically, we are going to change everything inside this into it should be always in the center. So item center and justify the center and space y. Because we are going to have two different objects, there should be some space between the two different objects in the top and bottom. It should have some space, so space y2. And I'm going to create a view inside first, and then after that I'm going to bring the text. So here inside the text I'm going to bring the title of it, and here I'm just going to bring the image, and I'm going to display the image over there. Image, let me close this, and I need to supply the source for it. Oops, image is not being imported. Let's import it through React Native. Now it will show the source object. Inside the source object you need to supply your image source. Okay, now it will show the image source. Since it's showing the image source, we need to fix the width and height of this view, so then only you can display that image, otherwise it will not be displayed. I'm going to give the not a normal string. I'm going to use the dynamic string literals, because dynamically we are going to change. If that menu is active, we are going to add a background color. If it is not, we are going to change the background color. So I'm just going to give width as 24, height as 24, and shadow SM. Okay, so rounded full. And now the background color is the different part. If it is active, we are going to bring the background color. See, currently here restaurants is active, so it's having that background color. Apart from that, in these two menus, nothing doesn't have that background color. So that's what we are going to do now. So here, what I'm going to say here, I'm going to write a condition. Okay, if the type is double equals to, okay, if the type in that state, we are, whenever the user clicks the menu, we are updating the state. If that state value and the title value, if both are same, then we need to apply the background color. Otherwise we are not supposed to apply the. So I'm going to say title dot to lowercase. I'm going to convert to a lowercase. Okay, so why we are converting into a lowercase? Because we are sending the informations in the uppercase, but in the state we are updating into a lowercase. Okay, so that's the reason we are converting into a lowercase to string value dot lowercase. If it is equal to that, then I'm going to apply a background color, which is going to be BG gray 200. Or else I'm just going to keep it as empty. I'm not going to add any classes or anything else. I'm just going to leave it exactly as it is. Okay, so save the changes, and for this we need to add a few more styles. Everything should be in the center, and justify the content in the center. Save the changes, and now we can see the images is being loaded, and I'm going to say class name for this is going to be width full, height full, object cover. Save the changes, and now you can see I don't want this object cover contain. Save the changes. Now you can see that the image perfectly, and you can see the name, it's also being displayed. So let's add some styles for the text. Class name equals, text is going to be text hyphen and hash, and I'm going to use the exact same color which I added over here. So let me copy it and I paste it over there. Then what we are going to do, I'm going to make it as text Excel size, and font semi bold. Save the changes. Now you can see it's showing that images, and just like the same way we are going to bring 3 more menu containers. Let me copy it, paste it, and this is going to be hotels and this is going to be attractions, and this is going to be restaurants. Change this to attractions, and here also we need to bring the attraction image, and this is going to be restaurants, and we need to bring the restaurant image. So restaurants, say the changes, and now you can see that we do have all the necessary options and everything. Okay, fine. So is there any spelling mistake? Restaurants. Fine. Okay, then. And now what we need to do is the space between them, it's not fine. Space between them, it's not fine. So we need to do some changes for it. So let's, because it's not aligned properly. You can see that. See here how we're having it, and here how we're having it. They are not aligned properly. That's the mistake. So we need to fix that issue. So what we can do is we can say this as flex row, item center, justify center, space. Okay. Everything is fine. Instead of center, maybe what we can do, so justify between. All right, so now that is perfectly fine. And is it showing that background color? So let's go here and let's change this background color to a little bit darker color. I'm not sure whether it, okay, you can see that it's applying the background color, but it's not showing it quite properly. So let's add some padding effect so that we can see it much better. Cool. Now let's change this to 200. Okay, so now we can see the restaurant type, because initially we are sending the option as the restaurant, and by default it's loading the state as a restaurant only, so it's showing this options over here. So on click, what I'm going to do is whenever I'm pressing this, I'm going to change the state. I'm going to update the state value. So basically we need to add an on press event over here. So on press, I'm going to call a method called handle press. So let's copy this. Let's create that method over here. Const handle press equals an arrow 6 function. And here I'm just going to say set type. So change the type as title dot to lowercase. Okay, set the, whenever I'm clicking it, get the title of the container and set it, convert it to a lowercase and set it as a type. Okay, so whenever the changes, there is some changes in the type, we need to update the use effect. Okay, let's see whether it is working, or else later we'll change it. So when I click this, now you can see it's basically working. When you click it, the state value is getting changed and the type is being updated, and so the background color is also being updated. So I think we quite done with our menu container. So next what we need to do, we need to move on to the internal sections over here. This is what we are going to build next. All right, then, since we successfully finished the menu container, so next what we are going to do is we are going to build this complete section. Okay, so let's go ahead and first let's bring this one, then we'll go ahead and bring all these, the rest of the stuffs and everything. All right, so let's go. Okay, and now we are done with this view option, so let's enter. Then what we need to do is after that view, we are going to bring the this option. We are going to bring this particular section, this one. So let's go ahead and build that one. So I'm going to create one more view inside here, and this what we can do, basically we can keep this thing we can keep it in this element as a complete we can keep it in the complete view, this both in a complete view, because if when the user searching something, if there is no data, we need to display here as a no data menu, right? We need to display here as a no data, otherwise we need to display this card. All right, so the better option is to keep them as a single view. That's the view. Inside this view, first we need to bring that particular text, and we need to bring those icons and everything. So we need to bring that cards and everything. Fine. So let's create this now. So we created the view, and we need to create one more view. Inside this view, we need to bring the text view. Okay, so text. Here we are just going to say top tips or something. It's anything, top tips or something. And then after here we have an explore text, and we have an arrow mark over here, icon. So let's go ahead, and we need to add touchable opacity. We need to add a touchable opacity from React Native. Close it. Inside this, I'm just going to add a text, and that is going to be explore. Okay, so now we need to add this icons. So when it comes to icons, so if you're working with React Native, you can use hero icons, or to keep it simple, you can use Expo icons itself. If you search for Expo icons, you can see this the very first link where you can search the icons and everything. See, you can search the icons over here, what exact icons you want, you can search it there. And here if you click the icons export documentation, and there you can see how to use the icons. So by default we have the Expo vector icons, which is already downloaded and installed and everything. Okay, let's make sure whether it is already inside our package.json or not. Let's go here, and there you can no, it's not there. Interesting. So we need to download that. Okay, so where is the package name then? I think this is the package name. So let me copy this. Let me copy this. It's not allowing me to copy. React Native vector icons. It's going to their documentation. Here it is, npm. So this is the one we needed. Let's copy this and let's install it. Yarn vector icons. Yarn add vector icons. So this will add the vector icons inside our file. Now let's go here, and let's go back, and let's open their very first link. You can see this web page. Let me apply some filters. I'm just going to use the font awesome and font awesome icons, and of course material icons, these three only. So let me filter it, only these three. Okay, so now here I'm going to use the right arrow mark. So right arrow. Okay, so arrow, if you search down, you can find out here the long right arrow. Basically this is the font awesome. So if I click this, you can see what exact thing you need to import. Let me copy that, and let me scroll up, and let me import it. And you can copy this line too, and you can paste it right over here. Okay, so font awesome, it's been added, size 24. I think that's pretty enough. And the color code is going to be hash A0C4C7. Save the changes, and look at that. Now you can see the icon over here. Cool, right? That's simple as that. Now let's add the style. This is the main view, and after that view we have the view for this text element. Let's bring it as a row first. So class name, and let's say flex row item. It's align items in the center and justify the content in the center. justify it in the center or between. I think between is much better, so between, and px4 and margin top 8. Save the changes. Look at that. Px it's 8. I think px8 is better. 8. I think that is too much in, so let's keep it as px4. Okay, that's fine. Let's do the same thing for our this touchable opacity also. So class name, so let's say flex row, bring everything in the flex row, and item center and justify center, and let's say space x 1 or 2. I think this is pretty much enough, or we can give 2 also. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so now let's add the styles for your text. So class name, text color. First, initially the text color is going to be, I'm just going to copy the text color. Let me copy and paste the text color, hash, paste the text color, and of course the text size is going to be 28 pixel, and font, of course, it's going to be bold like this. Then for this explore text, let me copy it and let me paste it over here so that you can write it. Class name is going to be this, text color, text size, and font bold. It looks like that. Look at that. So we successfully finished the text section, and then next what we need to do is we need to load our the items sections and everything. So after this view, enter, here we need to bring one more view, and for that view I'm just going to say class name, it's going to be px4, margin top 8, flex, not root, flex, we are going to change it in the row direction, flex row, and item it in the center, and justify evenly, and flex everything in the wrap, because each and every card should be wrap positioned according to the size. Everything should be adjusted properly. Okay, so flex wrap. Fine, now everything is perfect. Save the changes, and inside here, where is the design? Inside here we're having multiple cards right here. See, card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, card number 4. So basically it's having a multiple cards inside, so we need to bring one by one as a separate component, and inside that component we have image and the location, and of course name. So we have the name and the locations. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's build that. All right, then, since the top section is successfully done, this section is successfully done, now we need to bring this item card container. So let's go ahead and create a new component called item card container.js. So I'm just going to use RNFE. So save this, React functional export. Then here, inside here, I'm just going to bring that container, item card container. Let me close it. Let me copy and paste it 2 more times. Okay, so here inside this item card container, I'm just going to supply the key. For the time being, I'm just going to keep the key as 101, and for this as key as the 102. So unique key, we need to maintain the unique key, right? So that's the reason we are using these things. Then I'm going to, now you can see we have 2 different item cards containers over there. And what are the things we need to supply? We need to supply the image, location, name, and location. All right, so let's apply the image. So here hold your alt or option key over there, and then type, first we need to supply the image source. So image src prop, we are going to use image src. Okay, I'm going to keep it empty for the time being. Then title, and then location. All right, these are the props we need to supply. Cool. Let me copy this and paste it in our item card container. First, it's going to be image source. Let's destructure the prop. Title. Oops, I think I messed up. copy and paste it, and copy this location and let's paste it there. Fine. So now what we need to do over here, so let's supply, for the time being I'm just going to supply a dummy image. Okay, let me supply a dummy image. So I do have an image URL to resemble a restaurant image. I copied this image from the Pixabay only. Okay, see, this is that image currently. So anyways, for dummy image, let's use, goes to the Pixabay. Let's choose some image. For the time being I'm just going to copy this image address and I'm going to give it in this location over here, and as well as for this I'm going to give another image. Let me give another image. Let me copy this now, copy image address. Anyways, later these images are going to be loaded dynamically, so no, don't worry about this. And the title I'm just going to say something here. I'm just going to say sample or something. Location I'm just going to keep it as the current location, Qatar. Okay, save the changes. All right, so now we can see that we supplied the images and everything. It's been perfectly supplied to here. So let's go and customize the item menu card container. Okay, so what we need to do is let's open the item card container. We do already destructured all the informations and everything, and now as usual I'm just going to delete this and I'm going to bring the touchable opacity React Native, and inside here I'm just going to bring the image from React Native, and inside this image I'm going to supply the source. So source is going to be image src. So this basically, that is an URL which we are supplying it. It's a URL, it's not an object, so you need to use the URI, and I need to supply that source, image source. Okay, so even if you're using a real-time data API, when it is going to be a URL, not an object. So previously whenever we used, these things are objects, not an URL. So in this case, currently right now we are using URL, so you need to use this URI. All right, then I'm going to give the class name. Class name is going to be width. Of course it's going to take the parent width, and height it's going to take only 40, and rounded, of course rounded MD, and object cover. And then since it's using the parent width, so I need to fix the width for this touchable opacity over here. So it's going to be rounded MD, and it's going to have a border, and border gray 300, and space Y should be 2, and px3 py, padding left and right 3, and padding top and bottom 2, and shadow MD, and BG white color. Okay, those are the things. And width, not border, I'm going to say BG, and at last I'm going to fix the width. I'm going to say the width as 182 pixels. These are custom sizes, so you can write these styles, adjust the width size for you, because these are just trial and error. Make sure comfortable until you feel comfortable with that styles and everything. Okay, so each card margin, we have top and bottom, we are adding some space, and now you can see that perfectly a box is created. Inside the box, this image is loaded perfectly. After the image, we just need to bring the text boxes and everything. So let me bring the word wrap, enable the word wrap, so that you can see these styles. And after this image, as I said, I need to bring the title. So let me copy that class name, so here, let me bring it. So text object, class name, class name. I'm going to bring the title. That will bring the title. But the problem with the title is it is not supposed to be displayed like this. Like, what we need to do is, sometimes the title name will be big, or sometimes the title name will be smaller. So I'm just going to make sure it. So if the title dot length, if the length of the title, if the title dot length, if the length of the title is greater than 14 letters, then I'm just going to slice it. I'm just going to say, so dollar title dot length, so not sorry, title dot slice. We are going to use the slice method. So slice until 14 characters, then add these two dot over there if it is greater than that length. Otherwise, simply print title. Okay, so if the, let's say if I'm giving something instead of something, I'm just going to say something very big or something. See, that will automatically truncate the excess word and it will add those two dots over there. Okay, so that's the reason we are adding it like this. So let me copy this one more time, and here we are going to bring the view because we need to bring the location icon. So if you have a look at this design, you can see it does have a location icon, then it's displaying the text. Okay, so for that we are going to create a view, and inside this view I need to bring that location icon. Let me copy paste this text anyways. Here I need to bring that location. So let me go back to the, where it is, here, icons. So let me search for the icon name called map marker. Okay, so choose any marker which you like most. So I'm just going to use this one. Let me copy this. I think already we copied the font awesome. No, here, let me paste the font awesome, and let me copy this and let me paste it here. Save the changes, and instead of black color, I'm just going to give a very specific color code. Let me copy that color code and let me paste it here. Say the changes, and it's not going to be 24, it's going to be 20, like that. Fine. And the size is going to be 14 pixel, and the color code is going to be a little bit lighter color, not as exactly, or we can use the same color itself. Fine, that's good. And location, I'm just going to keep 18. I'm going to check 18, and this is going to be location. Say the changes. Now it shows the, and still for this we need to add a few more styles. We need to make it item center and a flex row. That's what we are going to add here for this view. Let's add a flex row and item center, and let's add some space between those two text. And now you can see that we successfully created this. What is this design? We successfully created this cards and everything, and if you look at it, it's having a nice opacity level. See, having a nice opacity, and the card, everything is being successfully loaded. Now only thing is remaining, it's all we have to do is to pull the real-time data from the Rapid API. We need to pull this record by using Axios. We are going to pull this record, and we are going to re-render this entire item card container according to that particular data. And in the meanwhile, we have one more thing, that we need to bring a nice loading animation, and as well as we need to bring that what is that, if there is no data to display, we need to display that no data available or something. That's what we need to do next. All right then, so now let's add that nice loading animation. So let's go to the discover page. Okay, so what we need to do is to add that nice animation effect. So what we can do is we can, so that is basically called as an activity indicator. So here let me search for activity indicator Expo. So if you go to the activity indicator, and there you can find out the activity indicator, but it's not showing any examples or anything. Where it is, React Native activity indicator. Come on, load the examples. It's not showing the examples. Why? It's preview, enabled, web, Android. It's not showing. So go back. Activity indicator Expo. Tap to play. It's loading. See, this is the one. It's kind of look like that exactly the same way. So start loading. See, just like this. This is the one. That's the one we are going to use now. Okay, that's what I'm trying to show you. So I'm just going to go back here, and all I'm going to do is to copy this large with this color code. Let me copy it, and we are going to paste it. So the thing is, it's more important where we are going to paste it. So basically, whenever it's getting loaded, this entire place should not be displayed. Here I need to bring that activity indicator, right? So what I'm going to do is the scroll view, this entire scroll view itself, it's not supposed to be displayed. This entire scroll view itself, it's not supposed to be displayed. So when here I'm going to create one more state. So use state snippet is loading. If it is loading, for the time being, I'm just going to set it as true. If it is loading, it should display that activity indicator. So I'm just going to say if it's loading, and then it should render this view menu. It should render this view menu, or else it should render this entire scroll view. Let me bring this over here like this. Inside this view, we are going to bring that load that activity indicator, and the class, I'm just going to add some class name for this. So this is going to take the complete available length, whatever the length it's available, take it, and everything should be in the center. Item center, justify it in the center. And the activity indicator color, I'm just going to use this color code which matches our design, and I'm going to import this activity indicator from the React Native. Save the changes, and now you can see we have that nice loading animation. So if it is not loading, then let me change the state. If it is not loading, then it will display that sections, that container sections and everything. So we successfully implemented the loading spinner into our project. So next what we need to do is, what else we need to add? We need to add that no data option. If there is nothing to display, we need to display that no data. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so now let's display that no data found option. So where we can do is, so we can create one more state. So use state snippet. I'm just going to say main data. Initially this main data is going to be an empty array. Okay, so where I'm going to check is inside this place. This is the place it's rendering all the this is the main tag. Over here, this is the place where it's rendering these two items card container, right? Here I'm just going to check main data dot length. So initially conditional rendering, so length, if the length is greater than 0, then only it should display this what is that? Okay, sorry, if the length is greater than 0, that should display this React fragments, otherwise it should display this React fragments. So inside here I'm just going to paste these changes. So currently it's not showing nothing because the length of that array is basically 0. So inside here we need to render the components. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a view with the class name. Basically it's going to take the width as a complete width, and height I'm just going to say as 600 pixels, a fixed height. It's not going to be beyond that. Okay, then item center and space y as 8, and justify everything in the center and the inside this view, and I'm going to bring an image and the source, of course, and the source is basically it's going to be a not found. I do have a not found png over here. So first we need to bring this to our assets folder where it is index.js. Let me copy this and paste it, and here let's copy this name and let's paste it here, and as well as here not found. Okay, so let's go back, let's close this, let's go back here. I'm going to use this name over here not found, and class name for this thing is going to be let's say width 32, height 32, and object cover. Fine. So now that should display that image over there. All right, so then what we need to do is, after this I need to bring a text that basically it's going to be oops, no data found. This is that one. We are going to bring this text box. So this is supposed to be top of it, but why? So let's say bg red, and let me see. Okay, it is not coming in the center location. I just wonder why. Width full, height full, items in the center, and justify everything in the center. This is should come. Let me remove this line. Okay, justify center. Then why it's not coming? Okay, maybe probably because of this issue, I think so. 400, yeah, that's the issue. Okay, so 400 is more than enough, and now I'm just going to delete this background color. We don't need this at all. So that is pretty much done. So if there is no data to display, it will display this no data found image. Okay, so now we are pretty much done. The only thing is remaining, it's just we need to load the live data with our cart container. We need to integrate the API. Then with the main data over here, we need to load that information. So that's what we are going to do next. All right, then since we successfully finished with our UI settings and everything, then let's move on to our data integration part. So let's go to the travel API, travel advisor over here. And now we need to import a package called Axios. So let's go ahead and open up your terminal. So let's add that yarn add Axios. So let's create a new folder in our project. Collapse everything, and right click a new folder, API. And inside this API, I'm just going to create a new file called index.js. Okay, inside this API index.js file, we are going to bring that typically this one. So I'm going to change this to JavaScript Axios, like this. Okay, so you can change the code settings which you want, in which you are trying to use this Axios. JavaScript, I'm going to use the Axios. So then I'm just going to typically either you can simply copy this and you can paste it directly inside, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to import Axios. That will import the Axios. And then I'm going to create a function export const get places data equals asynchronous. This is going to be asynchronous function, and later inside this we'll supply the parameters like what kind of type, restaurant or hotel or attraction, or you, and the latitude and longitude location, which exact latitude and longitude location you are trying to find out. Okay, and here I'm just going to open the try and catch. If there is any error is coming, I'm just going to say at return null. I'm just going to say null. Okay, otherwise here we are going to get the data. We are going to call this Axios. So where it is. So we are going to copy. I'm going to copy this URL, copy, and I'm going to say await Axios dot get. I'm going Axios dot get. Okay, and a dynamic string literal, and I'm going to paste that URL. I'm going to supply this URL, and inside, along with this URL, we need to supply the parameters, option parameters. These are all the optional params. So I'm just copying this params, and I'm pasting that params over here. These are all the params. Okay, and this params should be inside an object. It's an object, params. And after the params, you need to supply the headers also. Copy the headers, and paste the headers too, just like this. Await Axios.get. Inside this bracket, you can see we have everything. First, you need to supply the URL, then comma, you need to open an object. Inside the object parameter, you need to supply the param object, then you need to supply the header object. So if you want to keep this key settings and everything in a environment variable, it's better you can keep it in the environment variable. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as it is as empty. And this will returns a data object, right? This will returns a data object. So right after here, I'm going to return that object data. Basically, we haven't created the data. So here, I'm just going to say const. Okay. So we are going to destructure the information. So if you go here and if you go to the results, so what do we got? We got a data object. Inside the data object, we have all the 33 options. I need only this data. I don't want these filters and all the rest of the stuff. I need only the data. So I'm just going to destructure it. I need to get the data. Inside the data, we do have all the data. Okay, but basically what we are going to do, what we are doing it is, we are destructuring the entire result and we are getting only the data object and we are storing it into the data variable. So, and then we are returning that data object. Okay, save the changes. That's what exactly we are doing over here. Now this is successfully, this is ready to use it inside our UI. So what we need to do is, here I need to get the use effect. I need to create a use effect. So let's go ahead and write create after here. So you need to understand the basic difference between the use layout effect and the use effect. Use effect, it's like if there is any changes in the component, it will re-render that component. Use layout effect, if there is any changes in your entire UI, that will re-render that entire UI. Okay, that's the difference. So we are using the use effect hook, use effect, and that will take two different parameters. One is functional and another one is array. Here I'm going to first enable the set is loading as true. I'm going to enable it as true. Then I'm going to call that get places data, get places data. Okay, and that will return. So initially this, it's loading for the restaurants and with by default places latitude and longitude allocation. Okay, we hard coded it, and here that will returns the a promise along with the data. We'll get the data and then we'll get a result. We'll set that main data with the data what we got, the complete informations, and then set interval for, let's say 2000. That means 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, I'm just going to say set loading as false. Save the changes, and now you can see it's loading and still it's loading, and you can see that it's successfully loaded and it's got the informations, and it's now, I hope according to the coding which we written. I hope now this main data having all the information which is necessary. So instead of returning hot coding this to items container instead of hard coding this to items container, so what we can do is here let me delete that. I deleted that one item container here. Now I'm just going to cut this. Okay, I'm going to check one more condition, that is main data conditional checking dot map. Okay, map data, we need to have the parameters data and the let's say index for the unique index, and open the normal functional brackets, and I'm going to render this item card container. And here the key is going to be the index number, and the image source, basically we are not going to use the image source. And image source, it's going to be, if you expand any data over here, let me show you here, and you have this photo object. Inside the photo object you have the images. Inside the images you have small or thumbnail or original, whatever you want. In this case, let's say if we go to thumbnail, you have the URL over here. So go to the data object, photo, images, small or thumbnail or whatever you want, you can use that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize this instead of this. Okay, I'm going to say if data does have a photo object. If the data does have a photo object, this object copy. If inside this photo object, always use this question mark, otherwise in case if there is nothing, if that object is not there, you will get an undefined error. So better use the question mark. So that's for conditional rendering. Okay, and if this images have, so what is the small size? Small size is 150 pixels. So I'm just going to use the thumbnail, and that is thumbnail is 15. Original 2000, we don't need it. Large, no. Medium 550. So I'll take the medium. So copy the medium. I didn't copy. Oh, come on. I didn't copy it. Copy medium dot. Inside this we have the URL. Copy the URL. Okay, let me copy it one more time. If this object is there, then bring it, or else if it doesn't have that, then load this image, because sometimes it doesn't have some data doesn't have this medium or small or original. So every time we can't check that which one is not there. So if that image is not there, medium or original, if it is missing, then load this custom placeholder image. Okay, this will be loaded. And the title is going to be data question mark dot name. So you can see in your API we have the name, that's the restaurant name. We're going to use that restaurant name. And of course we do have location string also. So data dot, and here you can see the location string. Let me copy that location string dot location string. So save the changes. Now it should render all the restaurants which is coming from that particular place. Look at that. See, as I told you, some of them doesn't have the informations, and you can see it doesn't even have a name, and it's showing the placeholder. Okay, fine, that's perfectly fine. And if it doesn't have so these things, it needs to be rendered only if the data does have the name. If the data does have the name, then only these two should be rendered. Oops, we should not write it over here. We need to write it inside our cart container. So container over here, these two things needs to be rendered only if there is title. Then we need to render these two like this. Null is not an object. Okay, so we are getting a null object. If it is not, we'll keep it as empty then. Why it's not, then it's working. Okay, it's loading now. It's taking some times to loading. Okay, so now it's working, and you can see that it doesn't have a name, so it's simply ignoring it. Okay, so we are pretty much done over here. Now all we have to do is just to, what we need to do is, when I click this, it's need to take me to the next page. So that's what we are going to do now. All right then, so since we successfully added these, we bring the data and the scroll view, everything is working perfectly. So when I click this, I need to send this to another page. So basically that's what we are going to do now. So if you watch closely over here, so the click event is happening inside the item cart container, right? So what I need to, anyway, I'm going to pass this data. So where it is in the discover, I'm going to create a one more prop called data equals data. Okay, we are getting the data object, and I'm passing that complete data object as a prop inside the item cart container. It's a data. Okay, so here for this, I'm just going to have an on press event for the item cart container. On press, I'm going to pass it to the new screen, basically a different screen. So let me create a new screen. New screen, let's say item screen, item screen.js. So rnfe, save the changes, and we need to create it in our, where is the app.js? Here, inside here, stack.screen, and the name of the screen is going to be item screen. Component item, right? No, item screen. Copy it and paste it here. Save the changes. So now, whenever I'm clicking this on press, whenever the user press that option, we need to navigate that user, so that we need the navigation hook. So const navigation equals use navigation, which is provided by your React Navigator. So I'm going to call a callback function. I'm going to use the navigation method. So navigate. So this time I need to navigate to a different screen, and along with that I need to pass a parameter. All right, along with that we need to pass a parameter. This time we are not passing an ID, we are passing a complete data. So the name of the screen is item screen, and I'm going to pass an object, and inside that object I'm going to pass a parameter in the name as a param object. In that object I'm sending the data. Now when I click this, now that will takes me to the item screen. Now basically we achieved it perfectly. Now when I click it, it's going to the item screen, but I need to make sure whether I'm receiving the data or not. So let me go to the item screen. Okay, let's go to the item screen. Now inside the item screen, first I need to extract the item information. So let me copy this, and over here I'll paste it, and let me import this package now. Import it. and here I need to extract that information. So I need to get that information. So const the data is equals from the route or OTE. Okay, from the route dot params. Just a minute. Okay, so basically this route is coming as a default parameter for your screen. So it has a default parameter for your screen by using, if you're using a React Navigator, so we can create a default route, okay, as a parameter, and inside that route you have the params object. Inside that params object you have the param, say the changes. And now I don't want that header also. Let me remove that header option, and I missed this one more time. And here I need to, let me simply print that console.log your data, save the changes. Now when I click this, it's showing use layout effect is not added. So let me add it, save the changes. Use layout method. Now let me click it, it's loading. Now it's bringing the data. It's loading, and it's bring the data, all the data is here. When I click this, it's going and it's showing item screen at the top. If I open my console.log, now you can see all the data which is related to that restaurant, it's been printed in the console. That means basically through the route which we passed, in that route we have the params object and we have the param object, and we had our data which is inside the param object, which we successfully passed through here. All right, so now using that data, we are basically going to customize every single object inside, just like the view which we have over here. We are going to bring this design exactly as it is, and that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so since we successfully navigated to the next screen, so let's create this image container now. So let's go ahead and let's bring this complete image section. So there's two different options and this option, so let's bring that one. All right, so first let me delete this. I don't need to print the data, so let me delete that one, and let me close this, close it. And first I'm going to bring the safe area view from the React Native. Okay, and I'm going to make sure this is going to use the complete class name, is going to use the complete length which is available. So flex 1 and bg white color, and I'm going to use the relative position. All right then, so then I'm going to bring the entire thing, this entire thing, it's a scrollable, so the user can scroll up and down so that they can view the information. If it is have an excess of information, it's need to be scrollable. So I'm going to bring the scroll view from React Native, scroll view, and of course I'm going to make sure that it's going to take the complete length as well. So flex 1 and px4 and py 6. All right, and inside this scroll view we are going to bring our image container section, that is the view. Okay, and that is also going to be class name. I'm going to say as a relative position and bg white and shadow lg. All right, so inside this view we are going to bring the image first, image, and that is going to be React Native image, and basically that image is an URL. So we are going to supply the source with the URI object. Inside this we need to supply the URI colon, and here you need to supply the data object. So basically what we are going to do, and where it is over here, just exactly the same way, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. So this time instead of medium I'm going to check large. If it does have a large, bring it, otherwise use this replacer. So right after the source, I'm just going to say class name, and I'm going to say take the complete width, whatever the width available, but use only the height as 72, that is typically 288 pixels as a height, and object cover and rounded as 2x. Save the changes. So now we can see we have a nice image over here, just like that. So then what we have to do, we have an image, and now we need to bring these two different sections over there. So let's go ahead and let's bring that sections. So right after this image tag, okay, so right after this image tag, so I need to bring the top view. So let me bring the view inside. So view, all right, so here, 1 second, give me a minute. Fine. So we are here. So class name, I'm going to say that class name is going to be absolute position, and everything is going to be in a row direction, and insert x, that means whatever the left and right size it should take completely, and top, from the top it should be 5, justify between, and px 6. Okay, that's the view. And inside this, I'm going to have two different buttons, one this one, another one this. So let me create that one. So touchable opacity, React Native, close it. And here I'm just going to say I'm going to bring that left icon. So basically I'm going to bring that left icon. Before that, I'm just going to write a CSS style, class name, and width, I'm just going to say width 10, height 10, rounded MD, and everything should be in the center, and justify the content also in the center, and BG white color, So just like the same way, I'm going to bring one more thing, but instead of BG white color, I'm going to bring a very specific color code that is going to be this. All right, save the changes, and now we have two different buttons over there. But instead of this button as an empty, inside this buttons, basically we are going to bring an icons, which is from your we don't need this link anymore, close this, and we don't need this anymore, close this. And here first icon is going to be chevron left. So chevron left, we can use font awesome 5, where it is this one, chevron left. So copy this, and I can use it, and I can import this as well. That will be imported. Size, it's perfectly fine. And this thing is not supposed to be here. This is supposed to be here. And size and color, I'm just going to use this color code. Copy this color code, hash, paste it. Now we can see that icon over there. So just like the same way, I'm going to bring heartbeat icon. Inside here, I'm going to bring a copy, paste it, and the icon name is going to be heartbeat. Okay, so that icon is not loaded properly. Spelling wrong, hot spelling wrong. And the color I'm going to use it is triple F, white color. Look at that. So now we have that nice buttons. So now when I click this button, it's need to be navigate to the discover screen, right? So when I click that, it's need to take me to the discover screen. So for this touchable opacity, I'm going to add that navigation. So when I click this, so that will takes me to discover screen. If I click this, now that image is being loaded. Look at that. So we successfully implemented the image. We added that image. So then what we need to do, we just need to bring the names and ratings, all these things one by one. So that's what we are going to do next. All right, then, since we successfully added the image over here, so what we can do now, we can bring the names and the locations and these options, all the options and everything. So let's go ahead and do that one. So this is done. So this entire view is your the image container section. So now we need to write the styles for your okay. So I think in the image section we missed one part. Oh, this one we missed this. So let's fix that one. Okay, inside the image container, just like the same way for this view, just like the same view, let me copy this and let me paste it inside this touchable opacity and all those things. Let's delete it. Instead of top, I'm just going to say from the bottom 5. Okay, inside this I'm going to bring the price level. So you can see we have the price level and we have the price also. So we need to bring that price level and the price. So I'm just going to create a view, and inside that view we are going to have 2 different text boxes. Okay, so I'm going to say class name is going to be flex row space x2 items, everything in the center. And inside here I'm going to have those 2 different text objects. So let me copy and paste it here, and you can pause the video and you can write these 2 different. So inside the data we have the price level and the price. So over there, where it is, if you go here and you can see we have 2 different objects here. You can search for price level, and as well as you can find the price also. Price level, we don't have the price for this, and few information doesn't have the price, and few of them will have the price. So far doesn't have anything have the price, so that's why it's not displaying there. Fine, no issues. So few restaurant doesn't have the price category, price informations, that's why it's not showing. All right, so everything is empty. Look at that, just like this. Okay, this is will be displayed over there. This 2 difference, the 2 text boxes over here. So after this division, at last I need to show whether the restaurant is open or closed now. So we have an object in your here like open or closed now. So here open now text, we need to display this text object over there. So typically what we are going to do is we are going to create a view like this, just like this. So that will create why it's having that unwanted spaces. View don't know why that space is there. Maybe because of the text which is come. Okay, so here it's fine. Maybe because of the text is coming inside. All right, so we pretty much done over here. So this section is completed. So as we discussed, now it's for the title section. So after here we need to bring the title section. So for the title section and the name section, so you can just copy these styles and we can write that styles. So basically we are just creating a view, a main view. Inside that view we are having one text box. Inside that text box we are creating a one more view with an location icon, exactly, and we are bringing the text box. Along with that we are creating the text box, so that will display the restaurant name and the location name. So after the restaurant location, what we are displaying, we are displaying the ratings and all those things. So that's what we are going to do now. Okay, so after this, we need to bring the ratings and all those things. So before bringing the ratings and all those things, so let me create a main view for it. So let's create a main view. That's going to be a main view section. Okay, basically that is the entire, this is completely going to be a section, a view section. Inside that view, we are going to create one by one view like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And here first what we are going to do is we are going to bring the rating. So typically you need to find out the ratings in your data. So here if you search for rating, few restaurant might have ratings, few restaurant doesn't have a rating. So you need to check. If there is no rating, then we are not supposed to display it. So we are checking the data. If that rating is there, I'm creating a view. Like this is a view, you can see here we are creating a view. This is the one with the two different view in it. This is one view, and inside that view we have an icon, and this is one view. Inside that view we have two text boxes. Okay, so main view and another one view, and inside that view we have the icon, and another one view. Inside that view we have two different icon, two different text boxes. So that will create the ratings over here. So just like the same way, we need to bring the price level. If the data does have a price level, I'll just copy this exactly the same data one more time, and then I'm just going to change this instead of rating to price level. So that will display the price level. And I don't have the material icon, so let me import the material icons. So save the changes, and now that error is gone, and it's loading one more time. It's fetching the details and everything. And let me click this, and now it's showing the price level. Okay, and so if you, and I'm just adding one more object. So you can add what object you want. In this case, you can choose. There are bunch of objects over here. Which object you want, you can add it. So I'm just going to add two more objects. Like I'm just going to add this bearing object, bearing, which direction it is. So I copy this and I'll paste that bearing. Exactly the same code only, but with a different object. Look at that, just like this. So once it's done, after here, press enter. We need to bring the description. We need to bring this description. So that description, and after that we have the cuisine, I think so. Cuisine or cuisine, I don't know how to pronounce it. Cuisine. Okay, cuisine. Fine. Anything. So here we need to bring the description. We need to bring this description. So what we need to do is, so the description needs to be displayed only if the data does have a description. So after this, I need to bring the description. If the data does have a description, then bring this description. Now we displaying the description. So after this, now we are trying to display the cosine. So if the data which we have a cosine, then exactly the same way we are creating a cosine. So cosines inside, if you open the cosine object, so where is the cosine? So currently here we have 14 different cosines. See, that's an array. So we are trying to render an array. If the cosine object is there, then we are trying to render it, and we are trying to display the name. See, just like this. Look at that. All right. So then what we need to do, we need to display this address informations. So here we need to bring this address information. So typically this is a complete view. Inside this view we have three different views for phone number, three different view, and inside that view we have the icon and the text boxes. Okay, so main view and three subordinate views. Inside that subordinate view we have two different views, just like that. Okay, so now let me create that one. So first we are going to create the main view. So let's create the main view. So after here, we need to create the main view. So let me close this main view. So there we go. And now you can see that we have that main view, that box over there. Then what we need to do, I need to display a view with the phone number. If that data does have a phone number, then create one more view. Inside that view, we have the phone icon and have a text icon, text. Okay, now it's displaying the. Then I'm going to bring the email. If that data have the email, bring the email. And as the same way, if the data have the address also, bring that address string like this. Look at that. Now we have the complete address over here, just like that. All right. So now what we can do is, at last, all we have to do is to bring that book now button. So I'm just going to bring a very big button over here. So just like this. So pause the video and write these styles to create a nice button over there. Look at that. So now we have a button and all these styles and everything is being successfully created. Now if you go back, if you click this, and it's showing null object, so some object is getting a null object. So okay, so let me reload it. Which one is getting a null object? Let me reload it. Somewhere I'm using a null object. Null, 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 null. Everywhere I checked it. Let me click this. It's opening. This one, it's opening fine. This, perfect. All right, it's working. No issues. All right then, so we successfully added the book now and all those options. The designs, the complete item screen design is perfectly done. Okay, so next what we need to do is we need to make these changes, these restaurants or whatever it is, we need to change these. When I click attractions, it's need to show the attractions. When I click restaurants, it's need to show the restaurants. When I'm changing the places, it's need to change these information. That's the last part of the video. So we are almost done our project, only very few steps or more. So that's what we are going to do next. All right then, so since we successfully completed the designing part of our the item screen, then all we have to do is to make this UI as a completely a live data, like according to the user search, we need to update this information. So currently when I'm searching the places, let's say Singapore, so it's showing the places. When I click it, it's just printing the simply where it is. Okay, so here it's simply printing the northeast and the bottom, so northeast and southwest latitude and longitude location. So I need to access this geometric location. So I'm accessing that geometric location over here, geometry location over here through this viewport. I need to update this viewport to our API. Okay, to the API, I need to update this viewport information. So that's what we are going to do now. So what I need to do is, so instead of printing this, I'm going to create a state to manage all these latitude and bottom left and bottom right latitude and longitude locations. Okay, so let's create a 4 different use state snippet. Let's say bottom left latitude, set bottom left latitude. Initially it's going to be null. Then use state snippet bottom left LNG longitude. Initially it's going to be null. Then use state snippet and top right latitude, that is going to be null. Then use state snippet top right LNG longitude, that is going to be null. Save the changes. These are all the use state objects. So So make sure whenever you are changing any changes, it is refreshing the entire use effect and it's constantly pulling the data from your databases. So don't press control S every single changes, otherwise it will constantly pull the data from the API, rapid API. So you will lose your data, so you will lose your free limits. So better type all the changes whatever I'm making over here, then finally press control S. Okay, otherwise if you want to see the changes every single time, you can save the changes, because every time when you are making changes, it will render that use effect, it will pull the data from the API, so you will run out of your free quota instantly. So now here what I need to do is I need to set the bottom left. I know that in the control here you can see it is giving me the southwest, that means bottom left latitude and longitude location. So I need to access these two. So inside the viewport, I need to access the southwest for getting the bottom left information, and I need to access the northeast to get that top right information. So why we are getting the top left and bottom right? So that's the thing we need to supply for our data. See, these are the latitude and longitude optional parameters, sorry, the required parameters we need to supply our data. Okay, so to do that over here, I'm going to say set bottom left latitude, that means southwest latitude. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to keep it over here, question mark dot southwest question mark dot latitude. Okay, latitude, let me copy this and paste it over here. So this time this is going to be LNG, southwest LNG. Let me copy and paste it one more time. This time it's going to be set top right latitude. This is going to be latitude. We copy and paste it one more time. This time this is going to be LNG, and here also LNG, but not southeast, southwest. This is going to be northeast, because they are top right. Top means north, so northeast. So make sure south bottom left latitude, that means southwest latitude, bottom left longitude, southwest longitude, top right latitude, northeast latitude, and then top right longitude, northeast longitude. Fine, now we have all those informations, and whenever these changes happened, this thing needs to be rendered. So bottom left lat and bottom left LNG and top right latitude and top right LNG. If there is any changes in these, any one of this value, it's need to be re-rendered, and I need to pass all these informations over here as a parameter, and I need to access all those informations over here. So what I'm going to do is, if that is having a bottom left latitude, then use bottom left latitude, otherwise use this hard coded location. If bottom left LNG is there, sorry, what is now top right latitude is there, then use top right latitude, otherwise use this hard coded location. If bottom left LNG is there, then use bottom left LNG, otherwise use hard coded location. If top right LNG is there, then use top right LNG, otherwise use this hard coded information. So save the changes, save these changes. So now let's try it. Let's search for Toronto. Toronto, click it, it's loading and it's changing. You get that? Toronto, Ontario. It's taking some time because of the we are using the free version, but what we are up to do is it's working perfectly fine. So when you're changing the location, it's changing the restaurant also. Okay, let's try one more time. Let me delete this completely. Let's say Singapore. So it's taking some time to load it, and yeah, see, it's taking a quite long time to load the data. Fine, many ways it's coming from free version, so what we can accept. And even I'm thinking my internet connection is also a little bit low, so that's the reason it's taking much more time, I think so. Okay, so in this thing we need to add one more thing. So when I change this to attractions, of course it's need to change the attractions. So that's the reason we have the idea like type, right? So here if you check your parameter, if you check the attractions like list by boundaries, and there also you can see exactly the same URL only, but only thing is instead of restaurants it is changed to attraction. If you change it for hotels over here, and there also you can find list in boundaries, and there also you can see only the hotels is changed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this type also. I'm going to pass this type also. If there is any changes in the type, render it completely. And here I'm going to get the type to type, and this instead of this I'm going to render it by using, but please make sure these names, hotels, these names are exactly the same names in your key values over here. Hotels, change this to capital letter. And then for restaurants, because these are the names, we are basically setting it to your type. So restaurants, I copied it, copy restaurants, change this to capital letter. And attractions, list in boundaries, copy this attraction name and give it over here, attraction, no changes. So save the changes. Now save the changes over here too. So let me close this, and now let me change this to Toronto. Click it. I love that place a lot. So let me change it now. It's changing. It should change now. So now it's, of course it is changed. And if I click attractions, it's loading, and it's loading over here. It's taking some time, but it's loading perfectly. So now if you click the attractions, there we go. So you can see the attractions informations completely. And if you click this, look at that. So we successfully finally built a nice travel advisor application with using your the search options and attractions, hotels and everything. Still this application is having some small like flocks and everything. What are the future upgrades maybe we can do? We can change this to fetch. We can able to use the map APIs to give the direction for the users. We can use the geographic locations to access the geographical sensors to get the current location, to use the GPS to get the current location, and we can use the authentications to get the users to get authenticated. So these are the future upgrades you can add in your project. So currently according to our course, so we successfully added the places APIs and as well as the rapid API, so the user can search for different places for their attractions and the restaurants and everything. So the only thing is remaining is just we need to publish this app to the Expo Go, so that anyone who have the Expo Go application, they can use this mobile app. So that's what we are going to do next. All right, then, since we successfully created our UI and everything is pretty much done over here, you can see everything is done. So now all we have to do is to publish this account. So to publish this app to our Expo Go. So before publishing it to Expo Go, like what you need to do is you need to go to your Expo developer, go to the Expo developer account, go to expo.dev, and please log in into your account. Okay, so please log in into your account and make sure, like, so I already have few applications over here. You can see I do already have, see, these are some like the learning applications and few projects over here. So here we are going to push our application. So there you can see like if you search for expo publish, if this is the command, basically we are going to use it. So if you search for the expo publish, not this one, okay, basically that's the command, you need to run it. Okay, so let's see. So first you need to log in into your, let me create a new terminal so that you can see it completely here. So expo login. Okay, so still you are, it's showing already the user is already logged in. If you're not logged in successfully, like it will shows you to, do you want to log in, open the browser and click yes, and then it will log in with your browser so that you will logged in successfully along with your user account. So before logging, before publishing it, make sure that you having this option that you logged into your account. Then what I need to do is I just need to run the command expo publish. So in order to publish an update, expo updates needs to be installed. So first we need to install the expo update. So copy this expo updates. Otherwise, do you want to install it now? Please yes. So press yes. So that will run that expo install expo updates. So that will install all the necessary updates which needs to be done to your packages. Once the updates, everything is being done, restaurants.png couldn't publish because okay, so the problem is my restaurants png which I used as an app icon, that is too big. So that's the issue it's showing. So what I can do is, maybe I don't have any app icon or anything for the time being now, so that I can use what we can do, we can find the icons. So app icon image size, app icon restaurant app icon download. Let's see whether we can able to download few free icons or anything, flat icons. Okay, so we have a lots of icons over here. So in this thing, what we can do, okay, I'll choose this one better, that's looking fine. So we need to figure it out what exact size first. So app icon size in pixels, 512 out of 512. Okay, so here, okay, I think it's already in 512 only, I think so, 512 pixels. Okay, so free download. So here we have that thing now. So let me go back here and let me put it over here. Now I have that png order online. Oh, not there, here, assets folder, move. Okay, and let's say I'll rename this file as icon.png. icons.png. Fine. And let me give this to our app.js. Instead of restaurants here, I'm just going to say icons.png. Save the changes, and now let's me rerun the same thing again, and it start building our metro builder. It's building now. It's building for iOS. Once it's done for the iOS, it will start for the Android too. So then we can access anyone can access this that project just by having that URL, that QR code. Anyone can access that project. So it's built for iOS and it's successfully built for the Android too. Fine. So now here we go. This is your project page. This is the URL. So if you click this, let me open it. It's going there. Look at that. So this is the icon, the project which we created, and this is the QR code. So you can use your mobile device to scan this QR code, and you can publish this project to anyone. So anyway, so let me show you my mobile screen. Just a moment. So now let me scan this QR code. All right, and let me open it. It's loading now, and it's opening the project, and it's downloading the new app. Look at that. So if I tap it, it's opening it's loading, keep on loading, and here we go. So it's loaded the restaurants and everything for the current location, and if I tap it, it's loading all the informations about that particular detail, and the gesture is working perfectly. Okay, so it came back suddenly, I don't know. Okay, so here you can see the app icon. Let me open it one more time. I don't know why the reason it came again. So if you tap again, it's loading one more time. It's still loading. We need to fix this issue for the loading, maybe because if you get the premium version, I think it will work perfectly. So here, perfect, gesture is working perfectly. And let me search a person, the place. Let's say, okay, so tap it. So now it's loading for that place. It's taking some time to change the data over here, see, but it's working. Basically it's working, but it's taking some time to change the location. Fine. If I tap it, it's loading, and if I change this to attraction, and it's still changing. All right then, so it's changing to the attractions now. It's changed completely. When I tap it, look at that. So it's successfully working, guys. So we finally created a nice travel advisor mobile application with a nice UI, and it's working perfectly. Still, we just need to add the authentications and everything so that we can use it for future upgrades, and maybe in future we'll try to add those things. I hope you guys are excited, and I hope you learn much information. So if you have any questions or anything, just leave your questions in the comment box, and I added all the necessary files and assets which we used for this project. I'll leave it in the description below, so please go ahead and click it and download it. All right, then I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye, take care.